Hello, my audience of nobody. I'm gonna be streaming some Master Duel. Mostly because I need to catch up on this event. I've been neglecting the past few days. Crap.
Common at all. You can find one for sale somewhere that cost many millions. If that Maggie Claw man has a brain, she'll sell it. Action wars and each clan is the form of the race of the species who discovered it. That is why they look like whomever chooses them. It is said one day they will return. Mothers call upon primals to instill fear into their young ones. Some systems worship them as gods. I opened up the menu, scrolled all the way to the bottom, and I picked primal as my race.
Interesting.
My list of available classes consisted of over 650.
Oh, I made it. Oh, they're not giving up yet. That's adorable. They're gonna burn now.
What sort of classes are excluded? The Desperado Club doesn't allow. What is the word? Goody two shoes? It doesn't allow those sorts. So, no cleric classes and paladin classes. Along with a few monk classes, which is unfortunate as they would have been worth a look. But I think all three of your suggested choices are good ones. I looked over the AI's recommended choices. All three were from the pool of Earth-based classes. Bomb Squad Tech, Prize Fighter, and Compensated Anarchist. I said it. I pulled up each one in turn. Bomb Squad Tech. This exclusive class is only available to crawlers who have obtained the Boom achievement. People who actually choose to work with explosives are the craziest bastards around. You excel at making things blow up. And while you're good at keeping the bombs from going off in your own hands, Bomb Squad Tech still tends to lose both friends and limbs at alarming rates. Luckily, this class comes with a benefit that can fix 50% of that problem. All explosive-based traps will mark themselves as you approach. All armor is 10% more effective. The handling of explosives no longer degrades them. Automatic +2 to all explosive-based skills. +5 bomb surgeon skill. +2 to dexterity. +2 to constitution. -2 to intelligence. After all, only dumbasses would choose to do this for a living. Plus, the limb regeneration benefit. This is an Earth class. As an incentive to choose an Earth class, you will receive a silver Earth box upon choosing this class. This was good. Very good, in fact. But it was missing some of the key benefits I was looking for. The next class had the same issues. Prize Fighter. This exclusive class is only available to crawlers who have obtained a level 5 in the pugilism skill. This is a monk subclass. Sweaty, half-naked men circling each other in a ring, turning their faces into raw pulp as the crowd roars. The people in this audience don't care who is fighting who, as long as one of them ends up a crumpled, bloody heap on the mat before the night is done. Prize fighters don't do it for the glory or for honor. They do it to put food on the table. It's nothing personal. Prize fighters receive the following benefits. +5 to constitution. +2 to strength.
I don't know if it's cruel that I'm doing this to this hero player. Then again, it's an elemental hero. Then again, it's a hero player, so heck with that.
+1 to the iron punch skill. +5 to the knockout
Hmm.
+1 times
Kind of in an interesting situation.
killed with a punch.
Wait, when another...
Unlocks higher tier pugilism skill benefit. Benefit already received. This is an Earth class. As an incentive to choose an Earth class, you will receive a silver Earth box upon choosing this class. That +3 in pugilism was a huge bonus, considering I'd already managed to get it to 10 thanks to that cheat code potion. I'd pick this class in a second if I thought I could just punch my way through the dungeon. I knew already that wasn't going to happen. I needed something that was more versatile. I sighed and pulled up the description on the third suggested class. Compensated Anarchist. This rare and exclusive class is only available to crawlers who have obtained level 5 in the explosives handling skill and have received at least 500 billion views by the time they've reached the 3rd floor. When the oligarchs want to manufacture a social movement, or better yet, stop one in its tracks, they must first bring in the big guns. The paid protesters. The agent provocateur. This monk rogue hybrid class is a trap-making, bomb-making social media dynamo. The compensated anarchist will happily throw a Molotov through a window one moment and step in front of a camera to plead for the violence to stop the next. Experts in hand-to-hand and dirty tactics, the compensated anarchist only suffers when it comes to more traditional fighting techniques. +1 to the bomb surgeon skill. +1 to the trap engineer skill. +1 to unarmed combat skill. -25% damage when using bladed weapons. +25% mana cost for damage-dealing spells. +5% skill progression speed in all trap-making and bomb-making skills. +2 hide and shadow skill. +fear spell. +1 intelligence. +5 charisma. +5 to the bind trap skill. +5 to the backfire skill. +5 to the escape plan skill. Access to the Desperado Club. Already obtained. Access to the Naughty Boys Employment Agency. This is an Earth class. As an incentive to choose an Earth class, you will receive a silver Earth box upon choosing this class. Compensated anarchists must choose a subclass upon descent to the 6th floor. Holy shit. That seems like a winner. This one has a ton of stuff attached to it, though compensated anarchist is kind of an oxymoron. I guess that's the point. Yeah, all those classes with view count minimums are usually really good. They do it on purpose to give the more popular players a boost. This one definitely seems tailored for you. Let me look deeper into it while you peruse some of the others. There's probably a few issues hidden under the hood. I started sorting through the mass of other classes. I could hide all the ones that didn't have any special requirements, as they generally weren't nearly as good. I didn't get very far before the world rumbled. I glanced up, surprised. The second floor had collapsed. The new countdown appeared. We only had 8 days to complete.
Yeah, no, not letting you do that.
Welcome, crawlers, to the 3rd floor. We have just over 700,000 crawlers remaining. You will have 8 full days.
On the one hand, I feel like I get myself by, using medium of the ice barrier as material. On the other hand, screw this guy.
Races and classes everyone picks. We have some new, exciting classes available this season. Good luck to everyone.
8 days, Mordecai said, looking up at the ceiling. He shook his head. If they keep this up, the 6th floor is only going to be open 11 or 12 days. The factions are going to be pissed. It's usually open for 30.
Interesting.
I went back to work. There were multiple classes that seemed really good on the surface. Many were similar to the Bomb Squad one, like Riot Forces Support and Trebuchet Commander. And a few of the non-Earth ones were interesting as well, including the Rogue Trapmaster and Trickster class. Donut and Mongo snored loudly in unison, as Mordecai and I discussed the ins and outs of each class. Just a warning, Mordecai said. Donut didn't have to worry about this, but some of these classes have strict stat minimums. The charisma minimum for the compensated anarchist is 25. You'll have 36 points to distribute, but you'll be forced to spend 17 of them on your charisma right away, even with that plus 5. And then another 6 to get your base dexterity up to 10.
I feel a little cruel doing this, but again, hero player. I'm not a big fan of hero decks. Not because they're bad, but because I've been on the receiving end of too much of that bullcrap. Also, it's either this or Nibiru. Honestly, I hate Nibiru more.
The triggering mechanisms alone are quite valuable. You could make a living just by farming traps. We went over a few of the other skills. Bomb Surgeon, which came with a few of my choices, allowed me to basically take a stick of dynamite and cut it into pieces, making smaller, less potent bombs. Or I could deconstruct smoke bombs and utilize the individual parts for traps. Hide and Shadows was self-explanatory, though with the Donut and Mongo in tow, I imagined it wouldn't be too useful. Multiple classes had a Pathfinder skill, including the Trickster class, but I soon learned the compensated anarchist had the next best thing. What's this escape plan skill? Mordecai nodded, looking it over.
This is a grown-ass man.
Looks like it's an old skill, but I've never come across it before. Learn something new every day. It shows hidden doors more readily, but more importantly, there's a secret benefit. Mordecai grunted. You can thank your cat for this one. It says it offers access to the dungeon locator, but it doesn't say what that is or how to access it.
Had to take a scalpel to the
Luckily
journals.
for you, I know how to find and read it. Before, I wouldn't have been able to tell you. What is it? At every major intersection of the dungeon, I said before, parts for traps. The backfire skill, for example. It allows you to pick up a trap and deconstruct it. You'll be able to use the materials for your own purpose. The triggering mechanisms alone are quite valuable. You could make a living just by farming traps. We went over a few other skills. Bomb Surgeon, which came with a few of my choices, allowed me to basically take a stick of dynamite and cut it into pieces, making smaller, less potent bombs.
Well, that's an issue and a half.
Bombs and utilize the individual parts for traps. Hide and Shadows was self-explanatory, though with the Donut and Mongo in tow, I imagined it wouldn't be too useful. Multiple classes had a Pathfinder skill, including the Trickster class. But I soon learned the compensated anarchist had the next best thing. What's this escape plan skill? Mordecai nodded, looking looking it over. Odd. It looks like it's an old skill, but I've never come across it before. Learn something new every day. It shows hidden doors more readily, but more importantly, there's a secret benefit. Mordecai grunted. You can thank your cat for this one. It says it offers access to the dungeon locator, but it doesn't say what that is or how to access it. Luckily for you, I do know how to find and read it. Before, I wouldn't have been able to tell you. What is it? At every major intersection of the dungeon is a concealed map legend that intelligent and wandering mobs can utilize. It gives a very general overview of what's in every direction. You know how at the zoo there's arrows that say, monkeys this way, lions that way? It's the same concept. It'll point you towards exits and city bosses and so forth. It's not quite as good as the Pathfinder skill, which basically opens up the map in a very wide area, but this might be even more useful in some ways. Okay, what about this naughty boy's employment agency? He shrugged. I have no idea what that is. It sounds like a quest-giving guild. And the subclasses? It says I have to pick one on the 6th floor. We can't see what they are yet. It's pretty rare that you're required to choose one, but I've seen it a few times. You'll likely have to specialize further in one of the 3 skills. Bombs, traps, or hand-to-hand. Okay then. So what do you think? If you were in a more well-rounded party, I'd tell you to go with the prize fighter class. If you were in an even larger group, I'd suggest the bomb skill. All 3 of those are good. The compensated anarchist is potentially the best, but like with your race, it requires a lot of work. You're going to need to grind and focus on gaining as much experience as possible. With these
I'm turning this to a slog fest. I gotta end this.
I grinned. I guess it's a good thing we now have a group member who knows what he's doing. Mordecai narrowed his eyes at me as I scrolled down and picked compensated anarchist as my class. I next had to figure out my stats. Donut ended up with the following. Strength.
Oh, wow, look, a reason to do this again.
23, plus 5
Nope.
from her tiara, plus 1 from the charm. 29. Constitution, 4, plus 2 from her brush. 6. Dexterity,
Nope.
12, plus 2.
Yeah, I'm not letting you do that, man.
Plus 2 from the bracelet, plus 5 temporary floor bonus. 21. Charisma, 70. Her strength had taken a -3 hit, but her dexterity had
Either this dude's a bot or he's very dedicated in making sure he can, you know,
single point.
not lose.
Choice. Her constitution was still worryingly low.
And I'm a level of psychotic that thinks this is a good idea. Say bye-bye to your hand.
Gained a net of 4 stat points by choosing the cat race, but she had received a ton of new skills: night vision, slash attack, cat-like reflexes, and a benefit called 9 lives. The 9 lives benefit was similar to her cockroach skill, but it wasn't.
Are you kidding me?
It halved the damage received.
How do you have 3 of those?
Attacks she received per day. That was helpful, especially considering her low constitution. But if we were going to be facing super powerful monsters, a half attack would still likely cut her in half. She eventually awakened.
What did I miss? Did you grow elf ears?
She looked me up and down.
You're still human. That's boring.
I'm not human. I'm a primal.
Is that like a caveman?
She made a show of
Not ex-
You smell the same.
If you had remained awake, you would have learned what all this meant. She shrugged and stretched. Mongo yawned loudly, also stretching. He made a purring noise that sounded suspiciously cat-like. I was going to have to continue to be the party's tank. I received 3 stat points on
Really?
and I had a pool of 36 points.
Well, that's viciously annoying.
Them were chosen for me.
How does this guy have 3 of these?
After everything settled,
Okay,
I ended up with
fine. We're doing this dirty style, you little freak.
plus 3 from the toe ring. 13 plus 3 when gauntlet formed.
And medium the ice bear, because again, screw you, hero players.
10 plus 4 from the shirt.
Come on, dude. The name's Ice Bear. It means,
Plus 2.
how do I put this? I am the king of attrition.
Dexterity, 10, plus 1 from the gauntlet,
Man, this guy must be losing his crap over this.
25. I'd given myself enough intelligence to that wisp armor spell.
Come on, dude. Just surrender already so I can move on.
I was still on the fence about using it for myself, giving it to Donut, or selling it. I wanted to see what its actual monetary value was first. The fear spell I now had cost 3 points to cast. I wasn't too happy yet with this build. Donut was still...
Oh, look. You died.
For the 100th time,
Yeah, no. Saw that
I
coming.
wondered if I was
Nope.
an idiot for choosing this path. I'd been forced to spend a ton on charisma. The stat was mostly useless, especially since Donut was already deity-like with hers. I was going to have to level as quickly as possible.
Oh, wow. Look. You made yourself a big... Oh, wow. Would you look at that? A big old target.
From now on, all my points were going to go into those two until their base was at least 20. Donut had ended up with a skill set that allowed her to pretty much make it up as she went along. My chosen path required very deliberate planning and rigorous training. But if I managed to excel and survive, I could mold
Asperger's for the win. Asperger's for the win.
Was I an idiot? I knew some
I'm saving this one.
think so. Only one thing is going to make this work, Mordecai said. It seemed as if he'd been reading my mind. Training? No. Money. And lots of it. Come on, let's go outside. He started buttoning his tuxedo shirt back up. Where did I put that tie? Ah, there it is. Wait, you can leave your room? Of course I can leave my room. I'm your manager now, plus I have to present you two. It's part of the whole deal. He straightened his bow tie and rubbed the front of his jacket.
Technically, you're my manager.
Donut grumbled. Mongo screeched. That was actually a good point. But neither Mordecai nor I wanted to broach that subject just yet. He ignored it for now. I'm not allowed to directly fight with you, but I can still occasionally step outside, especially on the urban levels. Let's go. I'm going to present you, and then I need to show you something. Carl first, then Donut and Mongo. All of us stood and lined up at the door. He opened it with a flourish. When we'd entered the room, we'd been in a long, golden hallway with tall walls. But now, spread before us was a bustling...
Interesting.
Dozens of creatures of all types walking about. The stench of sulfur and smoke filled the polluted air. Dozens of medieval-style shops filled the area. The ground appeared to be made of wooden slats with wide spaces in some areas. On the fake ceiling, a blazing red sun rose, filling the air. Mordecai looked out at the village. None of the denizens gave him any heed. He waved for me
Oh
to
my
step
God.
outside, and I did.
Oh my god.
My feet echoed on the slats. I'd like to present Dungeon Crawler Carl, a level 13 compensated anarchist primal. Welcome, Carl, to the 3rd floor. Mongo screeched. That was actually a good point. But neither Mordecai nor I wanted to
Interesting.
approach that subject just yet. He ignored it for now. I'm not allowed to directly fight with you, but I can still occasionally step
Oh, look. You activated my monster's trap ability. Screw you.
Let's go. I'm going to present you, and then I need to show you something. Carl first, then Donut and Mongo. All of us stood. and When we'd entered the room, we'd been in a long, golden hallway with tall walls. But now, spread before us was a bustling village with dozens of creatures of all types walking about. The stench of sulfur and smoke filled the polluted air. Dozens of medieval-style shops filled the area. The ground appeared to be made of wooden slats with wide spaces in some areas. Smoke drifted lazily from the holes. Above, on the fake ceiling, a blazing red sun rose, filling the area with a crimson-hued light. Mordecai looked out at the village. None of the denizens gave him any heed. He waved for me to step outside, and I did. My feet echoed on the slats. The temperature out here was much higher than the previous level.
Saw that coming.
I'd like to present Dungeon Crawler Carl, a level 13 compensated anarchist primal. Welcome, Carl, to the 3rd floor. Chapter 3. This is called the Overcity, Mordecai said as we walked along the wooden street. My minimap was awash in the white dots of NPCs. Mordecai's dot had turned to a yellow star. A few blue dots of other crawlers were scattered about, but not many. Where you exited the second floor has no bearing on where you enter this floor. It is completely random, so you will now be mixed in with crawlers from around the world. So, Brandon and crew could be anywhere? How big is this place? Donna sat on my shoulder and Mongo stood on her back, like we were a goddamn vaudeville act. With my increased strength, I barely felt their presence. Many of the NPCs stopped and gawked at us as we passed. Most of the NPCs in this area were humanoid dwarves, but a mix of regular humans and orcs and elf-like creatures also walked about. All wore medieval-style clothing. Larger, armored guards with obscured faces also strolled about. Yes, they could be anywhere, Mordecai said. Their location is based on the location of their game guide. You can talk to them directly, but they probably don't know where they are in relation to you. They had someone called Mistress Tiatha as their guide. I don't know her that well, but I can try to figure out where she is if you'd like. Is this one giant city? He nodded. The Overcity levels are a tradition in Dungeon Crawler World. There are hundreds of small, scattered villages surrounded by wide swaths of abandoned city. It's all connected. As far as you're concerned, these urban areas appear every 3 levels. He stomped his foot on the rickety ground. Most of this is just window dressing. You're still below the surface of your planet. That isn't really the sky of some distant world. There isn't really a massive volcano under our feet. Volcano? I asked, looking down. We'll get to that. Think of this as a stage set for the benefit of the viewers. This and all the following floors will be significantly smaller than the first 2, with the exception of the 9th floor. This one is probably about the size of the state of Arizona. About 300,000 square kilometers. Most of that is the ruins. What about these NPCs? A pair of dwarven girls, no older than teenagers, were practically swooning at the sight of Mordecai. They said something, trying to get his attention. He growled at them, and they scattered, giggling. Oh, they're very real. They are living biological creatures similar to some of the mobs. Most have been engineered by the Borant Corporation, and therefore are owned by the Borant Corporation. This is the only world they know and have ever known. That's really fucked up. Do they know what they are? Their minds are altered every time they are regenerated. The next time this floor is formed on some distant planet, these NPCs will wake up like it is just another day. But they will have also been changed, planted with false memories. Inconvenient memories, like some crawler sitting them down and explaining to them that they're props on an intergalactic television series, will be erased. Take those goblins you told me about, for instance. They were addicted to meth. They were fighting the llamas over it. That storyline didn't exist in the previous season. That was added for this world and this world only. Next time they'll be addicted to solar berry extract or something like that. Or they'll be fanatics of some god. Or something else. What the hell?
God damn it, I actually do need to get the hardcovers.
Just as bad, and in some ways worse than what they were doing to me and my fellow humans. But these are still living creatures? How is that legal? Borant created them, so they own them. One can't alter the memories of naturals. People who are born in a natural biological process. Not unless they sign away their rights. And people are okay with this? Most are. The galaxy as a whole has plenty of other things to worry about. The rules regarding this stuff are pretty strict, almost as strict as those regarding AIs. These biologically printed mobs and NPCs are not allowed to exist outside of a syndicate-monitored production. Using them for any purpose other than sanctioned entertainment is highly illegal. It's basically considered a war crime. So, there are no intergalactic brothels filled with genetically engineered women? Mordecai grimaced. Not legal ones. But there is one place where such things do exist legally. He pointed down. But you said... The realization struck me. Oh. So, the deeper floors? That's right, Mordecai said. This third floor won't have any tourists on it. Most of them are on the 18th floor. It's like a billionaire's luxury retreat. The galaxy's rich and elite congregate on the 18th floor to party and gamble and satiate their most base desires. I don't understand. I assumed the 18th floor would be hell on earth filled with dragons and lightning giants and shit. What would happen if a crawler managed to get there? Nobody ever has, Mordecai said. So I don't know. The same with the 15th floor. Borans and the system AI are required to have a plan in place. But nobody has ever gotten that deep, so nobody knows. That sort of thing is way above my pay grade. As we walked, we passed multiple shops and guild halls at the inns. The inns were listed as safe rooms on my minimap. Mordecai spent some time explaining class and skill guild halls. Donut and I both could train at rogue guild halls. Donut also had access to bard halls, and I would have access to fighter halls. Sometimes there would be special halls for certain races, too. He said he'd never seen a primal hall, but it was possible it
Interesting. Okay, well then, let's first bait out the obvious.
We reached the end of the street.
Come on.
A pair of the well-armored guards stood by a small gate about as high as my waist. The two guards were
Really?
decked head to toe in plate mail, and I couldn't tell what sort of creatures they were, only that they were bulky and tall. Each was armed with a long steel blade. I examined them.
I'm a little shocked by that.
Village Guard Swordsman, level 75. Everyone likes the strong, silent type. In order to find out what's underneath that helmet, you'll have to first kill the guard.
Fuck.
Go ahead and give it a try. I double dog dare you. Village guards are tasked with protecting the population centers of the third floor from the creatures who roam the over-city ruins. They are only on duty when the sun is up, so don't go whining to them for help when it's dark. The guard was unmoving. He stood there like a statue.
He's kind of scary.
Donut said as we paused at the gate. Don't mess with the guards, Mordecai said. Don't attack the NPCs. Don't try to rob the stores. Don't get drunk and pass out in the streets. There is no jail here, only the death penalty. If you run afoul of the guards, don't try to fight them. They are slow, but there are a lot of them. Run from them and into the ruins. They won't follow you there. You will never be able to return to that particular village. Beyond the gate were more buildings, but they were decrepit and
Of course they have a bunch of these little fuck you effects.
slumping in on themselves. A rolling
Okay.
fog obscured the distance, but even in the shadows of the fog, I could see faint buildings of all shapes and sizes. Okay, Mordecai said, indicating the area beyond the gate. The ruins. It's the same as the dungeon, but it's all old, rotting buildings, abandoned and overgrown parks and so forth.
Interesting.
There's this whole storyline about the existence of the city. It's all based on a children's story that never made it into your Earth's culture. Basically, there's this massive, dormant volcano, and the magical world existed solely inside of the volcano. That world consisted of 6 layers. The very top layer is where we are now, the Overcity. It is where most of the people lived. A great monster lived at the bottom of the volcano and breathed out poison gas one day and killed or transformed 90% of the volcano world. The descendants of the survivors live in these villages. The resulting monsters live in the ruins.
That's quite morbid.
Donut said. So we're on top of a volcano right now? In the game's story, I mean. Yes. This floor is supposed to span the length of the volcano's crater. Well, what's the next level down? For you, the 4th level is just a random dungeon level. Same with the 5th. But the 6th floor is also part of this Volcano City storyline. For the NPCs here, it is the next level down. It is called the Hunting Grounds. It's another urban level with similar villages, though the villages are much bigger, and the original residents were much wealthier. The ruins are jungle-like and filled with vines, and it's the first level where brave and insane tourists can go to hunt crawlers. Not too many do it because it's both expensive and dangerous. There are no protections for the hunters. They're in real danger from both the mobs and the crawlers, and and every season a handful of rich dumbasses get themselves killed. What about gods? That's a whole different thing, and those don't appear until the 4th floor. I'll explain that later. For now, you need to get to work. Okay, I said, turning back to the village. There are shops here. Should we go shopping now? And should we open our boxes now?
Yes, shopping.
Donut said.
Definitely shopping.
Not here, Mordecai said. This is a small village. These shops are overpriced and will gouge you and won't buy any of your items. You need to get yourself to a larger settlement, and there's very little time. He pointed east. See that wider road there? Follow it for about a half day, and you'll come across a bigger village. It will have better, richer shops. How do you know? Mordecai pointed at a discolored rock on the ground just outside the gate. Focus on that, and select the tooltip that pops up. I did as he asked. Holy shit, I said a minute later. A holographic sign popped up, growing out of the ground like a tree. It showed arrows with signs and distances in kilometers. Pointing north along the main road, it read, Medium-sized skyfowl settlement, 34 kilometers. There were other signs, too, pointing to safe rooms, restrooms, and, most importantly, stairs. The closest set of stairs was 6 kilometers away. There are safe rooms in the ruins? We don't have to rely on the villages? And do the villages have names? Yes. The safe rooms and restrooms will be scattered the same as before. There will not be tutorial guilds in the ruins. Only in the villages. Not that it matters, as I'll teleport to the safe rooms anyway. Also, the villages don't have names. The system designates them as tiny, small, medium, large, and extra large. Not very exciting. This one is small. You can actually name them yourself if you manage to kill the mayor. Don't bother, at least on this floor. You'll likely end up dead. It doesn't
They appear to have screwed up.
benefits when the timer is only 8 days. Okay?
Right.
So I guess we'll grind our way to that other village. He nodded. Make sure you check out the signs every once in a while to make sure you're still on the correct track. All medium villages on this floor will have a tutorial guide. Meet me there. When you get there, we'll hit some shops together. Will the monsters be a lot harder on this floor? Oh, yeah, Mordecai said, grinning sheepishly. I should probably tell you this part. It's hard to remember without my checklist. There is night and there is day on this floor. There will always be monsters in the ruins. They are more dangerous at night. The daytime ones should be cake for you two, but you might want to keep Mongo back at first. Don't go out at night until I say you're ready. The villages will always be safe during the day. At night, only the village main roads are safe. Usually. The alleys will be very dangerous. In some cases more dangerous than the ruins. He flapped his incubus wings a few times and looked directly at me. Stay away from girls with horns on their heads. Your charisma is a lot higher than it was before, and they are attracted to that. They will be coming out of the woodwork at you. Work on your punching skills and use that new fear spell every single fight. Remember to stop at a safe room to open your boxes and so Donut can get her next spell book from the Book of the Floor Club.
I forgot about that.
Donut said. Mordecai turned and started walking back into the village. He was making a beeline straight for a pub. He called over his shoulder. Don't stop at the first safe room you find, though. Give it at least 2 hours. Maybe 4. And Donut, keep working on that magic missile spell. You're almost at skill level 10. I'll be on chat if you need me.
If I had known he was going to be so bossy, I wouldn't have picked that manager benefit.
Donut muttered. Shut up, Donut, I said under my breath, as I lifted the latch to the small gate that led out into the ruins. It opened with a noisy screech. The 2 guards didn't move a muscle. We wandered out into the streets, leaving the safety of the village behind. Chapter 4. Views, 371.5 trillion. Followers, 7.8 trillion. Favorites, 1.1 trillion. Donut worked on Mongo's training while we walked along the road. I pulled a stick from my inventory and tossed it. She was working on getting him to stay put until she told him to go fetch it. He was about 80% of the way there already. The problem was, when he got too excited, he absolutely refused to listen to orders. Donut stopped at the first restroom we found. She went inside, and the little dinosaur went berserk at the door, attacking and scratching at it and screaming at the top of his lungs until Donut came out.
You need to learn patience, Mongo.
Donut said.
Follow Mommy's example.
Yeah, because you are known for your patience. I marveled at the ceiling as we walked. It was much, much higher here than it had been in the hallway. Some of these buildings were 4 stories tall. In the smoky distance, some were even taller than that. But I could still tell the sky
Interesting.
was but an illusion. Lights reflected off it oddly, revealing the facade.
I hate special damage attackers,
Hello, hello.
but I love what's gonna happen next.
Hi, Zev.
Zev.
Hi, Donut. Good news, you two. Audette's show was another hit. But more importantly, the majority of viewers are giving thumbs up to your choices for class and race. A few people have expressed confusion as to why Donut chose Artist Alley as this floor selection, but generally people like the idea of the former child actor class. A couple people are grumbling that it does not promote growth, but most seem to believe it's offset by Carl picking something that requires such rigorous training. Also, so far, both of you have picked unique classes. Nobody else out there has chosen them. That's always a plus. There are a few other primals out there, but not many. No straight cats, though someone chose a werecat race, and there are a few cat girls walking around. It's still early. A lot of crawlers haven't picked yet.
Donut looked absolutely scandalized. I laughed. Carl. Good to know, Zev. Question. Can people see Mordecai now? Zev.
No, not generally. They know you have a manager, and they got to see him when he introduced you into the world. But from now on, it's how it was before. By the way, I checked, and no VIP crawlers are nearby as far as I can tell. I'd avoid adding any of the close-by locals to your party. They're all too boring.
Donut.
What is the next show we are going on?
Zev.
So, this floor is 8 days. I'm still in negotiations with a few programs.
Uh-huh.
During the 4th night, but I haven't locked in an interview yet. I've had to take in a few extra people just to field all the interview requests.
Carl. Okay. Thank you, Zev.
What's your favorite item?
Ta-ta for now.
Donut.
Bye, Zev.
I
What
just tried to
is
be
a
creative.
cat girl?
Come on, guys, let's get creative.
I don't like that. And
I
a
just tried
rare
to
cat.
be creative.
Whoever that is
Come on,
needs to
guys,
just learn
let's
to
get
commit.
creative.
Watch out! I cried, jumping back. The knife bounced off my chest, clattering harmlessly to the ground. I looked up at the creature who'd thrown the blade. A monkey wearing a painted human skull as a mask.
Former circus lemur, level 8. Grimaldi's traveling circus was one of the Overcity's favorite attractions before that fateful day so long ago. Hundreds of years later, the feral and transformed descendants of that
I'm still in negotiations with a few programs. It'll likely be during the 4th night, but I haven't locked in an interview yet.
Oh, this works wonders for my deck.
Field all the interview requests.
Carl. Okay. Thank you, Zev. Zev.
Ta-ta for now.
Donut.
Bye, Zev.
Wow.
What is a cat girl?
Donut asked.
I don't like that. And a werecat? Whoever that is needs to just learn to commit.
Watch out! I cried, jumping back. The knife bounced off my chest, clattering harmlessly to the ground. I looked up at the creature who'd thrown the blade. A monkey wearing a painted human skull as a mask.
Former circus lemur, level 8. Grimaldi's traveling circus was one of the Overcity's favorite attractions before that fateful day so long ago. Hundreds of years later, the feral and transformed descendants of that circus still stalk the ruins, seeking out adults and children alike to dazzle and entertain. And by dazzle and entertain, we mean devour the flesh from their bones and use their remains as armor. Grimaldi's amazing juggling lemurs were one of the circus's key attractions. Children from all over the realm would laugh and clap as they watched these funny little creatures juggle all manner of items, from balls to pins to knives. You can probably guess where this is going.
The red-furred monkey thing.
apparently a lemur, was wearing a black and red painted human skull as a mask. It had appeared in the second floor window of a dilapidated building. He was just sitting on the window ledge, little legs dangling off. He hadn't appeared as a dot on my minimap until after he'd thrown the knife, which he'd tossed directly at my head. Luckily, the knife flew low and hit me in the chest, bouncing off my jacket thanks to my cloak's anti-piercing benefit. "Oh, fuck!" I cried as 4 more lemurs appeared in the window. Donut and I jumped into an alley as more knives sliced through the air, 2 of them embedded in the wooden floorboards. Mongo screeched in rage, and Donut yelled for the dinosaur not to rush out into the street. I prepared a smoke bomb as I examined the map, figuring out the best way to get to them. There were no windows facing the alley, but they'd figure out where we were in a minute. An unsettling, throaty roar filled the streets, followed by an answering call from several blocks down. There was a lot more than just 5 of them. I put the smoke bomb away and pulled one of my boom jugs.
Admin, notice. A new tab is available in your interface. Quests.
The hell? I said. A musical chime, like trumpets blaring, filled the air. It only lasted a second. Sparkles and illusionary streamers danced at the edges of my vision.
Mm.
New quest! The show must go on! The words appeared spinning in the air, slamming into place in front of me, like the title of an old school.
Interesting. Well, this is going to be very annoying to deal with.
Cascaded off the word quest.
You've discovered the remnants of an ancient circus. Hundreds of years after the toxic cloud that devastated the Overcity, this traveling circus endures. But instead of joy and laughter and cotton candy, it now delivers devastation and pain. Their cotton candy is probably really gross by now, too. Find out why this circus still exists and put an end to its reign of terror. Reward? You will receive a gold quest box.
What the fuck is this? I said. A quest? Mordecai had mentioned quests once or twice, but we'd never talked about them. Carl. Mordecai. We just walked into a quest. Should we stay here and try to figure it out? Mordecai.
You should try to figure out your face.
Carl. What? Mordecai. Mom loved him more. Well, who's the dead one now? I'm glad that cat used her ashes as a bathroom.
What's wrong with Mordecai?
Donut asked. Carl, are you drunk? It's been like 15 minutes. Mordecai, did you know incubi have a very low tolerance for... Carl. Mordecai? He didn't answer. Shit. It looks like we're doing this on our own.
Interesting. Okay, I'm surprised this isn't going to... This is going to happen. This one's going to happen. I can just feel it. I can feel it in my soul. I can feel it in my bones. He's going to negate it here.
I jumped from around the corner. My plan was to try to toss it through the window. I now saw multiple lemurs.
I already know this is going to be a pain in the butt. I ain't dealing with this.
Arcing it high. I pulled myself back into the alley and crouched low as more knives slammed into the ground. The jug detonated, and the building against my back shuddered. High-pitched, frenzied screams rose, and I could feel the heat from the building. A flaming lemur leaped from above and landed in the alley. I punted it, and it flew across the street, flying way further than I expected. It cracked into the stone wall of a building. Behind us, more flaming lemurs started to fall from the roof. Run! I cried. We rushed from the alley, crossing the street. Multiple red dots appeared behind us. The entire top of the now engulfed building was filled with the X's of dead lemurs. God damn it, Mongo! I cried at the little dinosaur as he broke away and headed right for the now dead lemur I punted. He screeched, jumping through the air, legs first, and executed a perfect pounce onto the corpse. The dinosaur growled with glee as scorched lemur...
Wait a minute. I can just go to the bookstore.
I altered course to grab him. The dino chicken howled in rage as I scooped him up. A knife bounced off the bricks, inches from my head. I hazarded a look over my shoulder, and I stopped dead at the sight. A giraffe. A goddamn giraffe ran down the street at us. The giant animal was covered in lemurs who clung onto its neck like it was a tree trunk.
The giraffe was about a block away. It bent, then flipped, its neck flinging a dozen of the lemurs into the air in our direction. One of the little monkey things was flung too high, and he bounced off.
Alright, I'm fucking running this game when it comes out.
He plummeted to the ground, smashing into the wooden street. The remaining lemurs screamed as they flew, brandishing shining knives as more knives flew at us from the windows of the now burning building. I ducked, but most of the blades clattered onto the street, flung from too far away. The giraffe-riding lemurs landed and pulled more knives from bandoliers draped across their shoulders. They bounded sideways toward us, howling in a deep, guttural screech. "Control your damn chicken!" I cried, dropping Mongo to the ground as I pulled a smoke bomb. I lit it and dropped it as we turned down the alley and fled. We rushed to the next street over and crossed, then entered another alleyway, this one much tighter than the last.
Mongo, follow!
Donut cried as she leaped to my shoulder. She landed backward and fired a pair of magic missiles. Mongo screeched and flapped his little arms, but he kept up with us, running along my left side. This next street, last one before the safe room, held a single red dot in the center. I pulled another smoke bomb and tossed it ahead of me. "Hit it with a missile as we cross!" Smoke filled the street ahead of us, but it caught on a breeze, blowing in the wrong direction. Shit, these things suck. At the last moment, I remembered Mordecai's advice that I use my fear spell as much as possible. We rushed into the street, and I cast fear just as Donut shot a full-powered magic missile. My breath caught in my throat at the sight of the creature.
Warning! Scary-ass mobs are immune to fear effects.
My first impression was Slender Man. Slender Man dressed as a clown. Holy shit. Donut's missile flew low, but I realized that was on purpose. She hit it in the leg, and it toppled over. As the clown creature fell, its description popped up.
Terror the Clown, level 10. It's okay if you just pissed yourself. You wouldn't be the first. Standing just over 11 feet tall, the clown on stilts was always a favorite amongst the snot-nosed kiddos visiting Grimaldi's three-ring circus. Now, ravaged by time and the curse of the Overcity, the once affable stilt clowns have been transformed into tall, bloodthirsty monstrosities who want nothing more than to make balloon animals out of your intestines.
The monster was humanoid, but with splotchy, bone-white skin, no eyes or nose, and a red, tooth-filled mouth that was much too large. It wore tattered and bloody clown clothes over its emaciated frame. Its extra long arms hung almost to the ground. It held a giant butcher
running
in
this.
each hand. It wore a red, curly-haired wig and a little hat with a flower. Donut had shot it directly below the knee. It flew onto its back, throwing a massive red shoe into the air. Blood gushed from the wound. The place she'd hit should have been a stilt, but it appeared the monster's legs actually were that long. A health bar appeared, but the magic missile had only taken about 20% of its health. After a quick glance at the minimap, the lemurs were still a block away. I sprinted toward the monster as Donut pumped it with 2 more missiles. "Watch its arms!" I cried as I formed a fist. Donut leaped from my shoulder.
Sick 'em!
She yelled as she skidded to the ground. Mongo and I both leaped into the air. I landed on the clown's chest as Mongo screamed and started tearing at the prone clown's ankle just above the shoe. The clown's chest caved in with a crack as I landed. It felt as if I'd just crunched into a wooden pallet that had splintered under my weight. I fell to a knee and pulled my hand back to punch. Another missile crashed into the clown's raising arm as I punched it in the face as hard as I could. Its neck snapped back. A long, forked tongue lolled out. The little hat went flying, and the red wig fell off. I pounded again and again until its head caved in. A mass of red dots was getting closer, and they'd be here in 15 seconds. I pulled up the clown's inventory. Clown meat, big top ticket, 35 gold. I looted it all, plus both of the oversized butcher knives, the red wig, and the little hat. Mongo remained at the clown's ankle, tearing at the skin and growling like a dog with a bone. I bent to pick him up, and I realized he'd gotten noticeably larger. I picked him up anyway, and he squealed in rage. I put him back down a foot away. "Tell him to follow us," I said as I turned toward the next alley. "Hurry!"
Mongo, come!
Donut cried. This alley curved into a small labyrinth, dotted with doors and stone walls. The safe room appeared to be a tavern about 50 meters down a dead-end alley. A sign hung in front of the tavern naming it the Belly Rubbed Pug. A pug in a top hat and a suit appeared on the sign. I worriedly watched the wave of red dots swarm into the main street as I pushed open the door and ran inside. Unlike the safe rooms from the previous 2 floors, this appeared to actually be some sort of Renaissance fair-style pub. The 3 television screens remained, and the general layout was similar to the manned safe rooms. A babka protector stood behind the counter, looking at us with curiosity as we entered. The first thing I noticed was that the sleeping rooms, there were only 5 available, now cost money to rent. 10 gold a night, which was nothing. Between Donut and I, we now had almost 10 grand in gold. The food cost money as well, but it appeared to be equally inexpensive. I kept my eye on the red dots to see if they would follow us into the alley. If they knew we were in here, we'd have a problem. They didn't appear to have seen where we'd gone. I moved to the counter to order a drink. I needed one. Bad. Whoom. Mordecai teleported into the room, standing just to the side of the main bar. He stood with his pants down to his knees, eyes closed. "Now, ladies," he said, his voice slurring heavily. "One at a time. Granny first. There's plenty of Mordecai to..." He trailed off. He opened an eye, looking upon us.
My good sir, I must ask you sheathe your sword immediately.
The babka cried.
This is a family establishment.
I glanced over at the gnome. His name was Gordo. Mordecai quickly pulled up his pants. He was still in his tuxedo, but the tie and jacket were gone. His barbed tail got caught on the edge of his belt, and he couldn't pull them up all the way. He awkwardly fed the tail through the pants and fastened himself. He stood there, swaying. I could smell the alcohol wafting off of him. It had been 20 minutes since we left him. 20 minutes.
You weren't supposed to go to a safe room for a couple more hours,
Mordecai said. He wagged his finger.
If this is going to work, you need to listen to your manager.
Mordecai stumbled and held out his hands, balancing like he was standing on a surfboard.
Where did those 2 girls and their grandma go?
Then he vomited on the floor, sat in it, and passed out. Gordo leaned over the counter and made a face.
This is your manager?
Yep. He shook his head sadly.
You 2 are so dead.
Yep. Chapter 5. Mongo had risen to level 3 and almost doubled in size. He was going to be a very bright and colorful monster when he was done growing. His pink-hued feathers grew longer and thicker along his little arms, mixing in with a line of deep red feathers. His tail also grew longer, making him appear more dinosaur-like and less like poultry. The skin around his eyes took in a bluish tone.
There you go.
His beak had widened and grown larger, too. A nose chomp from him now could do serious damage.
They grow up so fast.
Donut said sadly.
He's too big to sit on my back now.
Pretty soon you're going to be able to sit on his back, I said. I knew the real version of these things on Earth weren't as big as they were in the movies, but I could tell already that the game was growing Mongo toward a more cinematic, crowd-pleasing size. While Mordecai snored loudly in a pile of his own vomit, Donut and I opened our boxes. We each had a silver Earth box. We also both received a couple random...
Boom, boom, boom,
I
boom.
had no additional loot boxes.
Boom,
but
bang,
Donut had a
bang,
gold
bang.
pet box she hadn't yet opened. The most notable new achievement was for stumbling upon our first quest.
New achievement. It's elementary, my dear crawler. And you thought all you had to do was bonk monsters on the head. You've received a quest. Puzzles and intrigue and mysteries, oh my. If you want to survive in this world, you're going to need to be more than just a pretty sword-swinging barbarian. Some quests require brute strength, yes, but sometimes you also gotta use your noggin. Reward? We don't want you getting bored. That's your prize. That was interesting. If there was some sort of mystery involved, I wonder if it required us actually talking to people. If that was the case, Donut's astronomical charisma was going to be valuable. Donut opened up her box and gasped. She'd received 3 items. 2 were unopened boxes that appeared to be from Amazon.com. A scented candle, a large-sized cat tree, with multiple scratching posts and platforms, and a round cat hammock. It was larger and fancier than the one she'd had in our apartment. I would have to put it together myself. The candle was labeled Sea Breeze, but smelled nothing like the sea. The 3rd item was a potion, an Earth Hobby Potion. I read the description. Earth Hobby Potion. Per subsection 1256C of the Indigenous Species Protection Act, this particular reward is required by the Syndicate government to be awarded to all crawlers who have chosen a domestic class. Taking this potion is optional, however, it may not be sold or transferred to other crawlers or entities. Upon drinking this, you will immediately obtain a level 3 skill ability in a unique Earth-based hobby. The benefit is chosen at random. However, you will not receive a skill that you currently have. Gods, I hate it when the lawyers make me put their crap into the descriptions. Don't you? Anyway, this could be something useful like parkour or jiu-jitsu. Or you could get fucked and receive some useless crap like stamp collecting or kombucha brewing. Don't get your hopes up. The fact your planet was filled with so many boring assholes with inane, ridiculous hobbies tips the scales way out of your favor. I laughed. Why would something like this be required? What would be the purpose? Was it some bureaucratic attempt at preserving Earth culture? It didn't make sense. Yet at the same time, it reminded me of some bullshit the military would enact. In the gold pet box, Donut received a black magical collar for Mongo that placed his orange dot on the mat wherever he was. He screamed and tried to rip it off, but after a few admonishments from Donut, he relented and stopped scratching at it. In a dark corner of the safe room stood a mailbox, and Donut went to retrieve her spellbook. She pulled it out.
This sounds positively delicious,
She said. She glowed as she applied the book to herself. I swear to God, Donut! Better have read the description first.
Oh, relax, Carl. Watch.
She waved her paw, and Mongo, who was currently running in circles around the prone form of Mordecai, suddenly split into 3. Now there were 3 of them running in circles. One of the forms squeaked in concern, jumped up on the counter, and started growling at the other 2 forms. A moment later, the other 2 also jumped on the table. The first one cried out in fear and ran, running to hide behind Donut. The other 2... Gold pet box. Donut received a black magical collar for Mongo that placed his orange dot on the mat wherever he was. He screamed and tried to rip it off, but after a few admonishments from Donut, he relented and stopped scratching at it. In a dark corner of the safe room stood a mailbox, and Donut went to retrieve her spellbook. She pulled it out.
This sounds positively delicious,
She said. She glowed as she applied the book to herself. I swear to God, Donut! You better have read the description first.
Oh, relax, Carl. Watch.
She waved her paw, and Mongo, who was currently running in circles around the prone form of Mordecai, suddenly split into 3. Now there were 3 of them running in circles. One of the forms squeaked in concern, jumped up on the counter, and started growling at the other 2 forms. A moment later, the other 2 also jumped on the table. The first one cried out in fear and ran, running to hide behind Donut. The other 2 looked at one another. Better have read the description first.
Oh, relax, Carl. Watch.
She waved her paw, and Mongo, who was currently running in circles around the prone form of Mordecai, suddenly split into 3. Now there were 3 of them running in circles. One of the forms squeaked in concern, jumped up on the counter, and started growling at the other 2 forms. A moment later, the other 2 also jumped on the table. The first one cried out in fear and ran, running to hide behind Donut. The other 2 looked at one another, then jumped down and resumed circling Mordecai like a pair of sharks. Please tell me that's an illusion, I said. The 2 new Mongos were physically mirror images, but they weren't moving like exact duplicates. Each one seems to have a mind of its own.
They're real,
Donut said.
Isn't it great? They only last for a minute. It's an expensive spell, too. It costs 26 points.
Sure enough, the 2 little dinosaurs stopped running after a moment.
They looked at each other, and then they fell apart, revealing little gears and servos and electric parts. The clockwork pieces disappeared in a puff of smoke a moment later.
It's called Clockwork Triplicate. Isn't it great? I can only cast it on pets and minions, though. So, no Clockwork Carl.
The real mongoose squeaked with concern at the two little black piles of ash on the floor. That is a good spell. You'll want to practice with that one. You've grown a decent catalog, I said, looking over her spell list. Donut's spells currently were Heal, Level 1, Max. Torch, Level 10.
Shishula, baby.
Magic Missile, Level 9. Puddle Jumper, Level 3. Second Chance, Level 5. Heal Crit,
Okay, so
Level
Shishula
1.
Zero Dragon on the Ice Barrier. Just gotta do some shenanigans with that, and
I hadn't realized
Shakadoo.
risen to level 10. She usually turned it on as soon as we left the safe room, and it followed just above us for most of the day. He'd been adjusting the brightness on the fly.
Shakadoo.
Stealthy, but I hadn't thought about it. Most of the halls on the second floor had come with ambient lighting anyway.
Will you put my tree together?
Donut asked.
And maybe light my candle? Miss Beatrice used to light candles.
Just a minute, I said. I had a quick memory of Donut walking too close to a line of candles, and of Bee flipping out. She was always paranoid about the cat catching on fire, yet she had a million candles all over the apartment. I still had my own earth box to open, which I did now. Like Donut's, mine contained 2 random items and a hobby potion. The first item was a small cactus plant in a clay pot. The short, squat cactus was only about 3 inches tall and was covered in yellow spikes. The pot still had a price tag on it. $3.99.
Well, that's annoying.
It would come from Home Depot. The second item was a shrink-wrapped set of small paperback books.
That's gonna be a problem.
I said, turning the pack over in my hands. It was a collection of Louis L'Amour books. Westerns. My dad had an entire shelf of them. As a kid, I'd sneak one here and there and read the entire book in one night, hiding under the covers with a flashlight. This was a pack of 18 books, all from the same series, the Sackett family saga. I hadn't read any of these. I put the books into my inventory. My hands were shaking, I realized. I wasn't sure why. I examined the cactus, wondering what to do with it, and why they'd chosen this to give to me. Both the Donut's gifts had been deliberate. A candle, a reminder of home, and a cat tree for comfort. And I, putting the plant into my inventory. So, you want to get a new hobby? I asked. I didn't have high hopes it would be anything good.
Okay.
Donut said. Her entire body glowed for a moment. She made a face.
Scutellophilia?
She said a moment later, pronouncing it slowly.
I don't even know what that means. I'm a scutellophile. That sounds obscene. How can I have a skill in something and not know what it is? This makes no sense. What a waste.
I don't know what to tell you, Donut. It warned us the skill would be something stupid. I put the potion in my hot list and clicked it. A warmth spread through me.
You have gained a new skill. You are now level 3 in the Sesta Punta skill.
That was it. There was no other explanation. Sesta Punta? I said. Was that a martial art? I looked at my hands. I didn't feel any different.
Was your potion worthless too?
Donut asked. I don't know. Maybe. Donut was right. It was stupid and pointless if we didn't know what it was.
It's likely the art of cracking nuts with your toes.
Donut said. She turned to the babka.
Gordo, darling, get me some walnuts. We need to experiment. Of course. Right away, Your Majesty.
He said. He scurried into the back kitchen. This guy was even more subservient than they usually were. Her charisma had rocketed up to 70. Mordecai had said, while that seemed crazy high, on the lower floors we were going to see and need much higher numbers than that just to keep our heads above water. With only 3 points per level, we needed to fight for potions and items and bonuses and everything we could to make those stats soar. Since it was one of the few spells that worked inside the safe room, I made Donut cast her new clockwork triplicate Sky with my hands. I didn't feel any different.
Was your potion worthless too?
Sesta punta. What the fuck is Sesta punta?
Donut was right. It was stupid and pointless if we didn't know what it was,
It's likely the art of cracking nuts with your toes.
Donut said. She turned to the babka.
Gordo, darling, get me some walnuts. We need to experiment. Of course. Right away, Your Majesty.
He said. He scurried into the back kitchen.
Oh.
This guy was even
What the fuck?
Her charisma had rocketed up to 70. Mordecai had said while that number seemed crazy high, on the lower floors we were going to see and need much higher numbers than that just to keep our heads above water. With only 3 points per level, we needed to fight for potions and items and bonuses and everything we could to make those stats soar. Since it was one of the few spells that worked inside of a safe room, I made Donut cast her new clockwork triplicate spell over and over. It currently took Donut about 20 seconds to regenerate a single mana point. Mongo quickly got
If they're
used to
smart,
it.
they'll banish one of my other they'll banish the synchro material. If they're dumb,
Joy when they appeared.
I'm about to do something silly.
The other two also jumped up and down with excitement.
Interesting.
Tussle, rolling over each other, knocking over chairs, and pouncing and jumping on tables. The tooltips over their heads didn't indicate which one was the real deal. I'd quickly lose track of the real Mongo until the two eventually fell apart. Mongo would peep sadly when this happened and would run up to Donut and start screaming, hopping up and down, demanding that she bring them back.
I don't think I'm gaining experience in the spell.
Donut eventually said.
It should have gone up to level 2 by now.
Maybe it doesn't count in safe rooms. I looked over at the snoring form of Mordecai. It'd be nice if we had someone to ask, I said loudly.
Interesting.
I tried to wake him earlier, but he was out cold.
Should we move him?
Option 1 is guitar gunards, which allows me to banish more cards, or...
But I don't want to touch him again.
Yeah, this guy.
When I tried waking him the first time, his tail had risen ominously like a cobra. The last thing we need is some weird incubus spell activating and your manager getting put in a timeout. Besides, something tells me this isn't his first rodeo. I really didn't feel like putting together Donut's cat tree just yet, and I told her I would do it later tonight. So instead, while Donut played with Mongo and his clones, I spent some time fiddling with explosives. I needed to be doing this at a sapper's table, which would stop the dynamite from degrading and would supposedly offer more ways to work with the stuff. I had an idea, but I quickly gave up on it for now. I had that new bomb surgeon skill, and even though it was only level 1, I could sense how useful it would be. I could feel the depth of the blasting cap in my dynamite sticks. I could feel how close a piece of dynamite was to prematurely going off without having to consult the description. Instead of dynamite, I moved my examination to my stash of goblin smoke bombs. The apple-sized bombs were just a bit too big for my slingshot, and their design didn't really allow me to break them down. I wondered if I should switch to a sling. Frustrated, I put it all away. I had a lot of random chemicals and a load of black powder, but with my limited knowledge in chemistry, I didn't have the correct combination of items to make what was in my head. I needed to seek out a store that sold explosive supplies, or better yet, find a village of hobgoblins and raid their stash. It seemed they had higher quality stuff than the goblins. We were supposed to make our way to that larger settlement before it got dark, but I made the executive decision to stay in the area and explore. I wasn't certain when night would descend, but we still had several hours before the next recap episode. The plan was to go out there and sneak around the edges of this supposed circus. We would try not to poke too hard, not until we knew exactly what we were dealing with. Come on, Donut. Let's go clown hunting. The first thing we noticed...
Yeah, I'm screwed.
Okay.
Okay.
Outside was the group of 3 exponent. These were crawlers, and they'd fallen not too far from where we encountered the lemurs. Ah, damn it, I said. I remembered what Zev had said about not joining up with any of the other crawlers in the area, and I suddenly felt guilty for not going to seek them out. I'd been so overwhelmed with all the newness of this floor, I hadn't really thought about it. I regret that now. We carefully approached the area, walking through the thin alley. Mongo stopped and sniffed the air. He let out a low growl. Stop! I whispered. I searched the minivan, but I didn't see any mobs. Mongo was looking straight up. I followed the path of his gaze, and And I finally saw him. The skull-headed lemur lounged on the edge of the roof. It hadn't noticed us yet. As I saw him, his dot appeared on my map.
Bloody hell, man.
This thing had some sort of stealth ability. He was overlooking the street with the dead crawlers, his back to us. A trap. I don't see what it is.
Columbus, yes, we know. Basically a black box? Chicken wing, hot dog and bologna. Keep getting my butt handed to me. Freaking hate.
No doubt there were more. Mac, I said, let's go in this building and sneak up on him. These buildings were nothing but the bare shells of old houses. None had doors or windows, just the holes where they used to be. We backtracked and peered inside. We crouched by the entrance. Mongo was being good and remained silent. The second floor and the roof both were made of nothing but beams of rotting wood, all surrounded by the stone bricks of the house. We could see the lemur from here, sitting idly on the edge of the roof. There were no stairs or easy way for me to get up there. What's next, David? Don't ask. We need to do it silently, he said. My slingshot would only piss it off. Donut's magic missile could be a little loud.
Be quiet, Mongo, and watch how Mommy does this.
Wait! God damn it, Donut! I hissed. But before I could protest further, Donut leaped into the air and landed on a second floor beam. She crossed the roof, walking low. Oh, I thought. She'd managed to be a lot quieter than I thought she could be, considering her. She jumped to the center ceiling beam, landing right behind the lemur. Even from here, I could hear the little charm on her collar jingle as she landed on the roof. In this silence, it was as loud as a damn church bell. Her backside armor also clinked loudly onto the beam. Mongo, deciding he wanted in on the fun, screeched loudly. The lemur turned, looking over his shoulder just as Donut pounced. She somehow managed not to fall off the edge and into the street below. She slashed savagely at the creature, and he crumpled over, falling into the building, bouncing off one of the second floor beams and cracking into the ground. Mongo rushed forward and pounced, landing hard on the not yet dead lemur. He ripped savagely at the furry monster's stomach, unzipping him like he'd been trained. Mongo squeaked and shoved his head into the lemur's now open belly. Holy shit, I thought, rushing forward. Donut jumped down and sat next to her kill, looking triumphant. We're gonna need to do something about that bell of yours if you want to be stealthy. You're too fragile to do stuff like that without planning it out.
I need to make a good example for my child, Carl.
He's not your child, Donut. He's a pet. We don't put our lives in danger for our pets. I regretted it the moment the words came out of my mouth. Donut looked as if I'd slapped her. Suddenly felt like an enormous asshole. Mongo ripped off the painted skull, revealing the dead lemur's own skull.
You?
Donut said, looking horrified. The look of hurt had disappeared just as quickly as it had come.
Carl, do you see that? It's disgusting.
Yeah, that's really gross, I said, happy for the quick change of subject. The human skull hat covered a secondary skull with a pair of bulbous, bloodshot eyes. The thing had no fur or skin on its head at all. It looked even more scary without the skull hat than it did with it. The lemur held a 4 lemur skin and a small bandolier containing 6 throwing knives. Donut took all of them. The knives were each about the size of my hand with little black handles. Donut, you should go back up there. Slowly and quietly. And look over the street. See if you can spy any more lemurs. Also, see if you can tell where the main part of the circus is.
No need. I already looked. There's one more lemur across the
Hey,
street.
who?
I've probably taken out with a missile engine nobody will use. And a few streets over, you can see the large circus tents. There's a park, I think. It's the same direction from where the giraffe came. I could see at least 3 of the giraffes walking around over there. I didn't see any of the scary clowns, though. Also, if you're really quiet, you can hear the music from the circus.
I just looked at Donut. She really was growing, getting more efficient. Again, I felt bad for the pet comment. But at the same time, it was true, wasn't it? Donut was different. She was more than a pet. Donut gazed down lovingly at Mongo, who'd eaten his fill.
You did good. You're almost at level 4 already.
The little dinosaur hopped up and down, waving his bloody arms and splattering gore everywhere. Okay. Let's kill the guy across the street, examine the bodies of those crawlers out there, and then check out the circus.
Chiron Columbus.
Sound like a plan? Partner? Donut paused, but then nodded slowly.
Okay. Partner.
Chapter 6.
Wait,
Donut took out the sleeping lemur with a magic missile. We waited 5 minutes to see if
The
anything
coins.
would react, but only silence followed. In those moments, as we waited, I could hear it, the distant whisper of the calliope, playing slow and haunting circus music.
I want to go.
Once I was relatively certain the watchers were gone, we approached the 3 dead crawlers. As we came closer, it was apparent there was enough blood and guts to comprise 5 or 6 crawlers. Like with the Brindle monster, the engines disappeared, but the bodies were significantly destroyed. It seemed there had been a large-scale battle here, and I suspected they'd taken out several of the lemurs too, but their bodies had already been removed. As I suspected, the 3 crawlers had been left as a trap. Of the 3 I could easily examine, 2 were human and 1 was a large, tree-like creature. I'd had that on my list, but I couldn't remember the name. When I examined the corpse, it didn't tell us that it was raised.
Interesting. Wow, this is going to be annoying and a pain in the butt to deal with.
Corpse of former Grace Bautista 3, level 8, killed by former circus owner. All of them appeared Asian, maybe Filipino. All had the same last name.
Oh, this is going to get interesting.
All
From Marcia Tiger to World Sea Dragon Zelantis.
and Leah. None of them had any English.
Bye-bye.
Some of this group were probably still alive.
That one, the tree lady, is wearing an anklet.
Donut said it.
And this one has 2 rings.
Sure enough, as I examined the corpses more, and I suspected they'd taken out several of the lemurs too, but their bodies had already been removed. As I suspected, the 3 crawlers had been left as a trap. Of the 3 I could easily examine, 2 were human and 1 was a large, tree-like creature. I'd had that on my list, but I couldn't remember the name. When I examined the corpse, it didn't tell us their new races. All 3 were women. Corpse of former Grace Bautista 3, level 8, killed by former circus owner. All of them appeared Asian, maybe Filipino. All had the same last name. All were level 8. All killed by lemurs. Grace, Nika, and Leah. None of them had any inventory, meaning some of their group were probably still alive.
That one, the tree lady, is wearing an anklet.
Donut said it.
And this one has 2 rings.
Sure enough, as
I hate you, Beldex. I really do.
they'd been looted hastily. Their inventory was gone, and their weapons and armor appeared to have been removed, leaving them in regular street clothes. All except the tree woman, who was naked save for the anklet. Whatever transpired here had happened quickly. These 3 were sisters who were close family members, and all 3 had died at the same time. I shook my head. Fuck this game. The tree creature was humanoid, but with a badly misshapen body. She was closer to an Ent from Lord of the Rings than Guardians of the Galaxy. But even that comparison wasn't correct. Her facial features remained human, but she'd been bent over and hunchbacked with an extra set of limbs erupting from her back. It took a few minutes to pry the anklet from her ankle, which is likely why they'd abandoned it. I also pulled the 2 rings off the fingers of the second one, human named Nika. Both of the rings were +2 to strength. Since Donut couldn't wear them, I rubbed the blood off and put them on myself, giving me a total of 4 rings. And just like that, my strength was back to an acceptable level. I didn't take any joy from looting the corpses of fellow crawlers, but I now realized how much of an advantage it was to be in an area where other crawlers existed. I could see the allure of being a player killer. This game gave a lot of loot. I examined the simple anklet. It appeared to be made of wood. Beads attached to it that clicked when I shook it, like seed pods. It wasn't nearly as loud as Donut's charm, but anything that made noise was a distraction.
Enchanted 1 constitution and gives +3 to the skill double tap. It's also an anklet. One would think anklets enhance the beauty of feet like toe rings do, but they are excessive, jangly distractions that make you look too garish. Let's see if it'll let you wear this, I said. I suspected it would. She already had one bracelet wrapped around her forward leg. I could barely see it through all the fur. Donut looked at the anklet with distaste.
Wood?
She said.
What is this? The 70s? Anklets are for the foot model, not me.
The AI clearly didn't want me wearing this thing, but I wasn't going to say that out loud. It has a constitution buff. You need it. He sighed and pulled it into her inventory.
I'll put it on my back leg so nobody will see it.
It appeared in a blink, forming around her rear left ankle. It was a fourth the size as it was before, and it remained hidden in the tufts of fur. She shook her leg a few times with distaste. Thankfully, the little beads barely made any noise. If we kept her hairbrush buff active, her constitution was now 7. It was still much too low for my tastes. Read the description of that double tap skill and tell me what it does, I said. She shrugged.
It says if I hit the monster twice in a row with the same attack, there's a chance the second hit does critical damage.
Okay, good. Now let's get out of the street. The closer we came to the edge of the circus, the louder the calliope was.
I'm not even joking. Why the fuck does the AI have a foot fetish?
The slow, haunting oom-pa-pa of polka played at half speed. I looked worriedly at the sun, which edged close to the distant rooftops. I hadn't seen any safe rooms since the last one. We hid inside of a building that overlooked the massive circus tents. We'd killed 5 sentinel lemurs on our way here. While the lazy lemurs were hard to spot, they also seemed easy to sneak up on as long as we moved slowly. Donut had killed most of them, usually allowing Mongo to finish them off. The little dinosaur hit level 4, and now he was about the same size as the cat. The dinosaur quivered with anger and potential energy every time we approached a lemur, and sometimes the excitement was too much for him. He'd let out a quick screech and then clamp his beak shut, as if he knew he'd messed up. We came across a sleeping lemur sprawled out on the floor of one building, and it was just too much temptation for Mongo. The dinosaur squealed and pounced, landing onto the stomach of the lemur, who awakened and managed to croak before I could also jump and smash his skull with my foot. A lemur-laden giraffe walked down the street soon thereafter while we hid against the inside wall of the building. But it passed by, not pausing. Through the hole of a missing window, we now observed the circus. It consisted of 3 massive tents, multiple wagons, several cages with shadowy forms we couldn't see, and at least a dozen other smaller tents. In addition to the lemurs, giraffes, and stilt clouds.
I get the feeling I should probably be doing this now rather than later, so...
A large, ogre-like creature wearing a leopard skin leotard. The ogre had a tentacle sprouting from the side of his neck. He'd let out a quick screech and then clamp his beak shut, as if he knew he'd... We'd killed 5 sentinel lemurs on our way here. While the lazy lemurs were hard to spot, they also seemed easy to sneak up on as long as we moved slowly. Donut had killed most of them, usually allowing Mongo to finish them off. The little dinosaur hit level 4, and now he was about the same size as the cat. The dinosaur quivered with anger and potential energy every time we approached the lemur. Sometimes the excitement was too much for him. He'd let out a quick screech and then clamp his beak shut, as if he knew he'd messed up. We came across a sleeping lemur sprawled out on the floor of one building, and it was just too much temptation for Mongo. The dinosaur squealed and pounced, landing onto the stomach of the lemur, who awakened and managed to croak before I could also jump and smash his skull with my foot. A lemur-laden giraffe walked down the street soon thereafter while we hid against the inside wall of the building. But it passed by, not pausing. Through the hole of a missing window, we now observed the circus. It consisted of 3 massive tents, multiple wagons, several cages filled with shadowy forms we couldn't see, and at least a dozen other smaller tents. In addition to the lemurs, giraffes, and stilt clowns, we saw a few other types of mobs, including a group of short, fat clowns and a large, ogre-like creature wearing a leopard skin leotard. The ogre had a tentacle sprouting from the side of his neck.
One of the tents was flanked by a massive, faded sign that read, Grimaldi's World of Freaks. Admission 1 gold coin. No children or those with weak constitutions allowed. A line of illustrated 10-foot-tall images stood on either side of the sign, showing the freaks and other attractions in the tent. One of them was the ogre creature with the Overcity's strongest citizen written over it. The other illustrations were a faded mix of sideshow characters and attractions like the Overcity's fattest woman, and Garth, the two-headed troglodyte, and Tiny, the amazing fire-breathing gnoll. There was one peculiarity amongst the signs. The last of the tall illustrations held an image of a horned, elf-like woman covered head to toe in tattoos. The sign read, Czarina Signet and her amazing battle squad. But someone had painted a large circle around the poster, crossing out the image. Wanted, Traitor, was written above the sign. As we watched, one of the round clowns walked by, pushing a wheelbarrow that appeared to be filled with animal skins. He paused at the sign, zipped down his pants, and urinated on the poster.
My word, they don't seem to like that lady.
Donut said. No. No, they don't, I said. We watched for a few more minutes. The clowns and lemurs appeared to be hard at work. But what were they doing? The entire circus was surrounded by a well-worn, 5-foot-high battlement made of rocks, wood, and bones. The clowns started draping animal skins over the barriers. A pair of stilt clowns pulled a wagon out into the street and started erecting what looked like trench warfare defenses. They dumped jack-like wooden structures connected to one another by circling barbed lengths of wire. They're getting ready for a battle. Mordecai.
It's getting late. Are you guys close to the other town yet?
Carl. Hello, Mordecai. How's your head? Mordecai.
I've had no... Wait, what do you mean?
Carl. Where are you? Mordecai.
I'm in my room. Are you two near the town or not?
Huh. He must have teleported back to his base the moment we left the safe room. Carl. Do you remember anything from today? Don't.
You were drunk and you molested someone's grandma.
Mordecai didn't answer for several moments. Mordecai.
Where are you right now?
I went on to explain everything that had happened. He didn't ask any questions and waited for me to finish. It didn't take long to explain. Mordecai.
Okay. Back the hell out of there and get your butts to that safe room. You are in way over your head. Do it now. It will be dark soon. I will explain just how stupid you two are once you get there.
Carl. Maybe we wouldn't have been stupid if you hadn't been passed out in a pile of your own vomit. We were just about to head back. See you there, Mordecai.
Night comes on quickly. You'll want to hurry.
Mongo growled. Down, I hissed. Outside, dozens of the lemurs and stilt clowns appeared. They came from all directions, heading back toward the circus. These were the sentries, I realized.
Vision what?
It got dark. We had to remain low and press ourselves against the interior wall of the building, where we'd be seen by the passing mobs. We huddled as the clomp, clomp, clomp of a giraffe walked by on the wooden slats. Donut jumped to my shoulders and peered out the windowsill while Mongo crawled into my lap. I found myself making noises while I rubbed the rough, half-feathered back of the little dinosaur's head.
They just keep coming and coming.
Donut said.
We shouldn't have come here, Carl.
I'm not dealing with that crap.
Bianca, too.
They're retreating back to the base. They probably won't follow us. Let's give it a minute and blood. Donut nodded. We waited until the steady progression of lemurs and clowns started to abate. There had to be 1,000 of them. The sun still hadn't fully sunk below the artificial horizon. Outside, the stilt clowns had finished erecting the barbed wire defenses.
Saw that coming, you stupid bastard.
Another group of
Boy.
circled around a group of cauldrons, like witches stirring a
Money.
magical soup. These monsters were tall and thin, with emaciated arms and fabric robes and masks that hung in tatters, like undead executioners. Except the fabric was bright purple and yellow. On this side of the park, there were 4 cauldrons set up, and each cauldron had 4 of the brightly colored robed figures surrounding the bubbling and hissing pot. A group of the round clowns pushed the large red up. Okay. If they're retreating back to their base, they probably won't follow us. Let's give it a minute and run. Donut nodded. We waited until the steady progression of lemurs and clowns started to abate. There had to be 1,000 of them. The sun still hadn't fully sunk below the artificial horizon. Outside, the stilt clowns had finished erecting the barbed wire defenses and were now starting to line up behind the wall. Another group of monsters I hadn't yet seen circled around a group of cauldrons, like witches stirring a magical soup. These monsters were tall and thin, with emaciated arms and fabric robes and masks that hung in tatters, like undead executioners. Except the fabric was bright purple and yellow. On this side of the park, there were 4 cauldrons set up, and each cauldron had 4 of the brightly colored robed figures surrounding the bubbling and hissing pot. A group of the round clowns pushed the large red and yellow painted animal cages to the edges of the walls, the doors facing outward. Roars and trills shook the massive pens. Whatever was in there, I guessed they would unleash the monsters on the attackers. I caught glimpses of tentacles and claws reaching outward from one of the cages. I was reminded of the cracked heron boss we'd fought earlier, though these tentacles seemed less octopus-like and more, I don't know, worm-like. I felt a visceral revulsion at the sight. Yeah, fuck this. We're out of here. Let's go. A pair of lemurs and a clown remained on the street as we emerged. Donut hit them with 3 quick magic missiles as I rushed up at them. I punted the first lemur directly at the clown, who'd fallen backward. The squealing, on-fire lemur ricocheted off the struggling clown's head, who stumbled again, hitting the ground. While Donut and Mongo quickly dispatched the 3rd lemur, I leaped up on the clown like I'd done before, crushing in his chest and pummeling him in his face, smashing it in. I could feel the extra strength I'd gained from the rings with each punch. More strength. I needed more strength, and I could kill these things with a single hit. I looted a second big top ticket and hunk of clown meat. I eyed a group of 10 lemurs 1 street over. They howled and pointed at us, but they didn't move to pursue. Run, I said. We turned and bolted down the street, not bothering with the alleys. The safe room was only 4 blocks over.
Did you see?
Donut shouted as we ran. A whistling noise filled the air as she breathlessly talked.
My magic missile can set things on fire now. My spell hit level.
Wham! Half the street where we'd just been standing exploded, sending us both flying forward. I hit the ground and rolled, coming to a stop. My ears throbbed. Rocks and debris showered over us. Mongo squealed in pain. He glowed a moment later as Donut cast Heal Critter. She rushed to the small, blood-splattered dinosaur, clucking over him worriedly. What the hell was that? I yelled, pulling myself to my feet. Come on! A purple and yellow comet rose into the air from the direction of the circus. It whistled as it bounced off the ceiling and hurled at us. The brightly colored projectile was a mortar round, I realized in that fraction of a moment. It had been fired from the cauldrons. They were firing goddamned magical mortars at us. Shit! There! I pointed at a nearby entranceway, and all 3 of us dove inside. I covered Donut and Mongo as another, louder detonation echoed. My health plummeted as darkness descended. Rocks bounced off me as the building collapsed around us. I slammed a healing potion as my health continued its downward arc. The ground cracked and we fell again. Shit, the ground is made of wood, I thought. We're falling through. We crashed to another stop, rock and wood falling around us, tumbling and rolling. I couldn't hear anything for several moments. Underneath me, Donut and Mongo squirmed to get out. I rolled over, freeing them. Debris and dust cascaded, and I couldn't stop coughing. My health remained about halfway full, and I cast Heal to bring it all the way back up. We were in murky darkness. Mongo cried fear. Light filled the room as Donut cast Torch. We waited for another mortar round to drop, but it never came. They probably assumed they'd gotten us. After the rocks finally settled, I could still hear the distant, haunting Calliope music.
most unpleasant.
Donut said. She started rubbing dust off Mongo's feathers. We'd fallen into what appeared to be a basement of some sort. I looked about. Above, a dim light shone through where we'd fallen, about 12 feet up. I looked uneasily at the ground, but I couldn't see it. It was nothing but rubble and wood. This room had been built below the main level of the overcity. I didn't know that was a thing. Smoke rose lazily through a gap in the wreckage. The room wasn't large. It appeared to be about twice the size of Mordecai's base, with walls made of rough stone. There had once been a staircase leading up, but it had collapsed in on itself. Rotted remnants of barrels lined one wall. The only way out was through the hole we'd fallen in. Can you use your puddle jumper spell to get us out? I asked. I could also build a ladder, but it'd take a few minutes. We were almost out of time.
I don't know.
She said. She backed up, peering up at the ceiling.
The hole is too small. I need line of sight, and all I can see is the sky. If I make the hole bigger, it should work. One moment.
She leaped up through the hole. Mongo cried out. He started furiously leaping in the air, trying to jump as high as Donut. He'll be right back. Calm down, little dude. Mongo screeched in rage and jumped again, leaping astonishingly high. He jumped almost 10 feet in the air, just shy of the hole. Wow, that was great. He squeaked sadly, looking at the hole. A moment later, a larger chunk of floor fell in, and Donut jumped down. Her hair was all poofed out. Mongo started squeaking and bouncing around her like she'd been gone for hours. Donut ignored her pet.
She's out there, right on the street. She's just standing there like she's waiting for us. There's only one way out of the building, and she's right there. I think she knows we're here.
Who?
The elf lady from the poster. Serena's signet.
Oh, shit. Did she see you just now? Was her dot on the minimap red? What level is she? I didn't see anything on my map. Donut paused.
She looked right at me, but she didn't move. The dot is white, but she's really scary looking. I didn't have time to examine the properties.
Interesting.
She's glowing. She's completely naked except for this quite lovely form that Miss Beatrice suggested to. But this lady is swirling with tattoos that are moving and swimming about like a fishbowl. I don't like tattoos, Carl.
I sighed, looking up the hole, calming slightly. If her dot was white, then we weren't in immediate danger. You have a tattoo, I said absently. Remember? And I have two now. And you know Bea had a tattoo too. That awful tramp stamp.
Miss Beatrice's tattoo is a masterpiece and an exception to the rule. And our tattoos will place upon us against our...
Hey, shoo!
Bea's tattoo was a faded Persian cat on surrounded by weird, uneven wisps. The cat it was based on was Princess Chonkalot, Donut's long-dead grandmother and Bea's childhood cat. The awful tattoo looked like a stoned Ewok. I never understood why she'd gotten a tattoo in a place where the only ones who'd see it were people smashing her from behind. I'd made the error of jokingly mentioning that once. And the Ewok part. Yeah, that had been a mistake. Her dot is white, which means we can talk to her. Let's ask her what the hell's going on, then get to the sick room. Can you teleport us up there?
Okay.
Donut said, sounding uneasy. I scooped up Mongo. The last thing we needed was the little monster attacking her. Beam us up, Donut. 10 seconds later, and we crouched at the crumbled-in entranceway to the now-destroyed building. Darkness had fully descended on the area. My heart thrashed as I remembered Mordecai's warning. Light flowed from the street, and I squeezed through the rubble of the collapsed doorway to go outside. In the distance, about a block and a half down, the circus was lit like a holiday display. The 3 big-top tents glowed, and multiple fires surrounded the encampment. Spotlights shot into the air, waving about. A line of clowns and lemurs and giraffes stood nearby. They could clearly see us here. Why weren't they firing their mortars? I examined the almost naked elf creature who stood quietly by herself in the now darkened streets. She stood about 5.5 feet tall, and she reminded me of Lexus, Audette's production assistant. She was an extra-thin humanoid creature with long, pointed elf ears, short horns jutting from her forehead, and sharpened fangs. She had a malevolent, horrifying look about her. Her skin gave off a mild luminescence, and in this glow, I could see the tattoos. From her toes to her face, she was covered in thick-lined, old-school tattoos of monsters. Most of the creatures were Asian-themed or nautical-themed, like Japanese oni and small Chinese dragons and dozens of other monstrosities like sharks and octopuses. Like Donut said, these tattoos were alive. They moved about her body, twirling around each other.
Grimaldi's Traveling Circus.
Zarina Signet. Half Naiad, half High Elf Summoner. Level 60. This is an elite. The High Elf King Finian, leader of the Liana sector of the Hunting Grounds, was such a horny bastard, it was said he bedded women from over 5,000 different races during his rule. Most scholars agree this has to be an exaggeration considering King Finian's hair lip and obsession with knitting, but nonetheless, at least one of these trysts did take place, resulting in the unique combination of half Naiad, half High Elf. Considering the Naiad Confederacy's tendency to drown outsiders and the High Elves' inclination to hunt down and murder any mongrel child of the late king, Signet here has probably had a tough life. Maybe that's why she ran away and joined the circus. Warning! This is a fairy class NPC. Creatures of this class inflict 20% more damage against you due to your goblin pass.
The moment the description ended, a new notification popped up.
New achievement! Meet an elite. Sometimes they're NPCs, sometimes they're mobs, but usually they're just assholes. Elites are powerful, one-of-a-kind entities. These are the non-boss, non-divine hero class of Dungeon Crawler World. If you come across one of these egomaniacs, they will either want to fuck you or kill you. Either way, they will always want to use you. They tend to think this whole production is all about them. Be careful. Where there's one elite, there's usually more. Reward? Elites will now show on your map as white or red dots with a black cross.
I swallowed. The woman was decidedly terrifying to look upon. Yet I found myself attracted to her. The effect was sudden and almost overwhelming. With horror, I felt myself getting physically excited. I pictured myself pulling the woman into my arms, kissing her on the mouth. I took a step toward her. It's a spell, I realized. What had Mordecai said? Stay away from girls with horns on their heads. Carl, I think I'm being charmed by an NPC with horns. What do I do? Mordecai, it's not a real charm spell because if it was, you wouldn't be asking me about it. Is it happening to Donut too? Donut.
He has an erection, Mordecai. It's very inappropriate. Mongo is appalled.
Jesus.
Mordecai. Okay, Carl. She likely has a 100+ charisma, which gives some inherent buffs. One of those is something called Puppy Dog, which can make men mad with desire. It's a weak effect at first, but the longer you're in her presence, the worse it'll get. There's only one surefire way to break it. You need to fracture your own finger. Do it fast. It will negate the effect. Make sure you don't rip your finger off. Shit. I still clutched onto Mongo. I reached over, grasped my left pinky, and bent it back so it snapped loudly. Pain exploded. I cried out. Holy crap, that just happened. I looked stupidly at my bent back finger. It worked. I felt the spell rush away. The effect was similar to having a bucket of cold water dumped on my head. I just sat there and breathed heavily. The woman looked down with amusement at my finger.
My, she said. It's been a while since I've seen that trick in action.
Yeah, her voice. It did not match her face. I drank a health potion. Donut.
It's worked. You're a genius, Mordecai.
Mordecai. God's Donut. Do you have to type in all caps? That trick works for most charm-based spells, but you have to do it to yourself. The problem is that by the time you're truly charmed, you don't know you're charmed. This is a succubus. Get away from her and get back to the base. Donut.
She is not a succubus. It says she's half Naiad and elf. It also says she's an elite.
Mordecai. Holy fuck. Get the hell out of there. Do not get involved in whatever she's trying to rope you into. We're sorry to have bothered you.
said while Donut and Mordecai talked in the chat. We need to head back now. Signet took a tentative, almost shy step toward me. In my menu, I prepared to click Protective Shell if I had to. It wouldn't have an effect on her if her dot remained white, so if I needed it, I had to time it properly.
Interesting.
I came here to see if you were okay. I watched you get attacked by my former family. They can be quite unwelcoming to strangers these days.
I watched a sea dragon pulse across her small breasts. The black tattoo paused to look at me and silently hiss before wrapping itself around her back. On Signet's arms, the monsters danced about one another. I caught a glimpse of a giant, three-headed ogre who held a curved sword, which he sharpened on the wheel. I realized Mongo had gone slack in my arm. I looked down, and the little dinosaur was staring at the woman, little eyes wide. He reached out and patted him on the head. We made a happy little squeak. This is what happened with the goblins and the laminac berries, I realized. Only this time, we were the ones getting seduced by the ultra-high charm. We're okay, I said as Donut leaped up on my shoulder.
Boom shakalaka.
For your concern. We really need to get going. The woman reached forward to pet Donut, but the cat pulled back and let out a growl. Mongo looked between Donut and Signet, confused. I felt the small dinosaur tense, the spell broken. He also let out a little growl. Good boy, I thought,
We're not getting involved with this weird little quarrel, sweetheart.
said Donut.
Carl and I want nothing to do with you and your circus freak friends. We will be leaving now. I'm afraid it's too late for that.
Signet said, as she took a step back and spread out her arms. The tattoos on her body began to swirl, moving faster and faster until they blurred. She nodded toward the circus, and I reluctantly turned my head. At this distance, I could barely see what she was indicating. A cheer rose from the line of clowns and circus animals. A moment passed, and I realized, with dread, that I could see what had changed. The cages of the beasts were all open. I glanced at my mini-map, and the red dots appeared, one by one. In front of us, behind us, and to our sides.
Deadly.
We were surrounded, and they were moving in fast. Chapter 7.
What was your name again?
Signet asked me. She didn't move from her arms out in Jesus pose. Carl, I said, as I frantically searched the map for the best way to flee. We had nowhere to go. I regretted making Donut use her puddle jumper spell already. The spell had a 5-hour countdown, and we really could have used it about now.
Carl. What a strong name. Dear, Sir Carl. You seem like a strapping lad.
Signet said.
Please keep those mole blinds off of me while I organize my battle squad. I usually have this part done before I have to face them. Your presence distracted me, so it's only fair. Besides, if you run, they will take you down. Carl, I don't like this.
Donut whispered as I put Mongo down.
I think we're in real trouble.
Get ready, I said. I formed a fist and faced the closest red dot. It was right there, 50 feet away, across the street and down the alley from the house with the basement. But I couldn't see it. I watched the dot move toward us. The mob moved through the building. No, not through the building. Over the building. It was on the roof. I looked up and tried not to gasp.
Mold Lion, level 15. Mean, green, and it gonna eat yo spleen. Madam Kiki's dancing lions were an integral part of Grimaldi's traveling circus. Crowds would roar in approval as the diminutive lion trainer stood in the middle of the ring, cracked her whip, and the dozen male lions took to their hind legs and twirled like ballerinas. What a sight it was. On the day of the Great Cataclysm, the gentle and tame lions were some of the first to transform. The spores of Scolopendra took quick root within the lions, turning them into the fiends you see today. Further transformations occurred as a result of the vine. As with all early victims of the Cataclysm, these creatures are filled with rage. They will stop at nothing until your innards wet the floorboards of the Overcity.
That was needlessly gruesome.
Donut muttered as I gawked up at the lion. The monster was a regular-sized male lion with a mane. Half of his body was covered with a green, lumpy, glowing fungus that pulsated like he was being eaten. The green mold covered his legs and chest, and splattered tendrils of the stuff covered the lion's face, like a pair of hands caressing it from behind. The lion's right eye glowed like an emerald. Erupting from his mane were tentacles. Dozens of long, pink and green finger-like worms waved in the air, making the creature appear to be some sort of fucked-up cat Medusa. The monster roared. Behind me, an answering roar followed. The lions appeared all around us, all of them on the roofs of the buildings. They were going to pounce at any moment. Holy shit, lady! How long is this going to take? I called to Signet. We now had 6 lions circling us. The half-naiad's eyes glowed. The tattoos swirled faster and faster along her skin. She did not answer. For the past day, I'd been trying to organize scenarios such as this in my mind. We needed to come up with contingencies, ways to respond to certain threats. If Donut and I trained, we could call out the play and each of us would know how to respond. I had one such contingency already worked out in my head. Something for this exact scenario, surrounded by powerful monsters. The problem was, I hadn't explained it to Donut. I looked about the strongest looking wall. There, just on the other side of Signet. Okay, Donut, I said, as I slowly circled behind the half-naiad. I had to mentally gauge the distance. Save your magic until I tell you. Can you take another potion yet?
Yes.
She said, voice full of fear. Mongo stayed under my feet.
What are we doing?
Got a plan. When I say, cast that last scroll of confusing fog. Okay? Get it ready. Oh shit, now! All 6 lions pounced at once, and their terrifying roar filled the dark street. I slammed down on protective shell. Earlier, I tossed a goblin smoke bomb, and it had caught in the wind, resulting in the bomb being rendered ineffective. The confusing fog didn't have that problem. The lions bounced off the shell like fireflies off a bug zapper. Each of the 6 lions ricocheted in a different direction, all of them howling in outrage as the billowing eddies of fog spread out around us. Signet, as I'd hoped, was not affected by my shield. She remained within the spell's area of effect. The magical shell would only last 20 seconds. The translucent only to the good guy's fog, however, would stick around for a good 2.5 minutes thanks to Donut's high intelligence. One of the lions bounced off the shell and flew into the sturdy wall of the building. I judged the distance correctly, and the lion was momentarily caught between the wall and the dome shape of the spell. The spell pushed the lion against the wall as it blindly scrambled for purchase with its claws, but it had nowhere to go, and it hung just a couple feet off the ground, which didn't good. The lion was on its side, back against the wall and belly facing us, angled downward. Blind and confused, it howled and scrambled, unable to push off the shell. In a second, it'd figure out that rotating would save it. I had to act fast. Its body sparked where it came into contact with the shield. A damage bar appeared and slowly started to descend. Behind me, another lion roared in pain as one of his friends instinctively slashed at him. I bolted forward, pulled my fist back, and punched the trapped lion in the mold-covered chest just as he started to rotate. He howled in pain and tried to slash at me, but couldn't angle his claws, which were inches from my face, past the invisible shell. I punched again and again. I felt something give. My next punch went deeper than I expected. Mongo screamed and flew through the air, attaching himself to the lion's unprotected
Wasn't
belly,
good.
ripping it as
Bad
I
hand.
pulled my dripping gauntlet and punched again. My hand entered the chest cavity, and I opened my fist, grasped, and pulled. I fell back onto my ass as the entire lion plummeted to the ground and rolled toward me. Surely it hadn't been 20 seconds yet. The green mold turned black before my eyes, and the worm tentacles all dropped, mixing in with the matted and dirty hair of the mold lion. It was dead. Mongo shrieked with glee. The dinosaur grew before my eyes. I wasted a precious second staring stupidly at the mold-covered lion heart in my hand. Holy shit. I pulled his fucking heart out. I pulled out the heart of a fucking lion. Second chance! I cried, scrambling to my feet as I put the heart into my inventory.
Donut's spell only cost 10 of her 29 magic points. The protective shell fizzled out just as the reanimated lion rose to its feet. It stood, both eyes dead, guts trailing from where Mongo had eviscerated it. Signet still hadn't moved or changed. Undead minion of Brawler Princess Donut. Mold Lion, level 5. The zombies were a third as powerful as their former selves, but they weren't blind.
Kill!
Donut yelled, pointing at the closest lion. The zombie growled and pounced, landing on the back of a lion whose health was already cut in half. It was over in a second, the zombie having ripped open the throat of his confused friend. I shouted instructions at Donut as I formed a fist. At any moment, the 4 remaining lions would realize we were unprotected. Donut rose the second lion from the dead and downed a mana potion. She then spent 26 points to cast Clockwork Triplicate on the new zombie with the ripped-out throat.
Kill the others!
Donut cried. 2 of the lions jumped forward to attack. A moment later, the other 2 followed, wading into the fray. The 2 automatons fell into pieces before the final lion was dead. The 2 zombies also fell to the last lion, whose health was down to nothing. It growled, looking about just as the fog started to clear. Mongo squealed and charged. Donut hit the lion with a magic missile just as it swiped at the dinosaur.
Bad hand.
Mongo, oblivious that Donut had just saved the idiot's life, pounced, landing on the lion's back, and started ripping. He'd gone up to level 6. He was now a hand taller than Donut, about the size of an actual turkey. His tail was longer, too. A set of long feathers sprouted from the back of the tail. Donut and I were both now level 14. A notification popped up telling me I couldn't assign my points until I reached a safe room.
Well, that was unexpected.
Signet said. I turned to look at the woman. Nothing had happened. Her tattoos stopped swirling around her body, though they continued to move as they had before. Her eyes no longer glowed. I'd been expecting her tattoos to turn into the monsters. Her description had stated she was a summoner, and she'd said she was summoning her battle squad. What's going on? Did your spell not work?
No, it didn't.
She said. She had a sour look on her face.
My spells are blood magic. They require a proper sacrifice to work. I choose the sacrifice and cast the spell, and my lovelies take the blood and form.
I indicated the 6 dead lions. You have blood right here. Down the street, a group of circus creatures cried in outrage once they realized the lions were all dead. We needed to get out of here. The mortars were going to start firing again at any moment.
I can't use them.
She said. As I watched, one of the lions twitched. I jumped back and formed a fist. Donut screeched and leaped onto my shoulder. A green line of mold oozed off the lion and hit the ground. It started creeping back toward the circus. Donut fired a magic missile at the ground. The mold shriveled and died.
Don't bother.
Signet said.
The mold isn't dangerous. Not directly. And you won't get it all, no matter how hard you try. Believe me, you can incinerate the bodies and you'll still miss some. All it takes is a single microscopic spore to get back to the vine, and tomorrow this lion will be regrown and ready to attack again. Let's back up a block before those acrobats start shooting at us. This night's attack is cancelled. What a disappointment. My boys were really looking forward to it.
We walked away from the circus to the jeers of the clowns. A few mortars did fire, though we were clearly out of range. You can only cast that summoning once a night? I asked. Signet gave me a half smile. Her ghoulish face looked downright sinister.
That is correct, Carl.
Donut.
Carl, I do not like this lady, even if her dot is white. We need to ditch her.
Carl. We will. She's even crazier than you think. Let me do the talking. Get ready to run just in case, but I don't think we'll have to. I want to get some info from her first. I don't think she's dangerous. Not anymore. Not as long as we don't provoke her. So, I said, trying to sound casual. Which one of us was supposed to be the sacrifice? Me or the cat?
You, of course.
Signet said, seeming not a bit surprised I'd figured it out.
The moment one of those lions cut you open, all of your blood would have flown into me and animated my squad. We've never used primal blood before, but I can sense how powerful it is.
but you received nary a scratch. Wait. All my blood would have flowed out of me even if I'd just received a single cut? I'd already deduced the real reason why her spell hadn't worked. She didn't really want us to protect her. She had wanted to charm me and then have me die while defending her. She hadn't been
You
casting
bitch.
the spell while all those tattoos were swirling about. She'd already cast it, and they were just waiting for my blood. This NPC was crazy and dangerous, but she was also clearly part of the quest, and I intended on getting the full story. Just a single cut wouldn't do. It has to be a life-ending cut. I must say, it can be a hassle. What sort of creature do you usually use? I asked. She shrugged. I usually catch something. The bigger the better. I'm not allowed to bleed the sacrifice myself. Otherwise, I would have just killed you. I have to capture something, and then capture a second different something, put them together so they fight, guess which one is going to lose, and then cast my spell on the loser before they receive their first injury. The moment they're dead, my battle squad arises. How powerful they are depends wholly on the quality of the blood. Donut.
She is going to try to capture us, Carl. We need to get out of here.
Donut was right. It was stupid to keep following her. I paused in the street. We were only 2 blocks over now from the safe room. But before we left, I had to ask one last question. The all-important question. Why are you attacking them? I asked. She indicated a tall, white building. My home is over there. I moved in because it is close to the vine, and the circus can no longer move from their spot. I have refreshments. If you'd like to join me for an evening drink, I will regale you with the sad tale of Signet the Bastard and Grimaldi, the man she loved.
Bastards can be girls.
Donut asked, speaking for the first time. Yes. I learned quite early the term does not discriminate between male or female. We have to get going, but I would love to talk more about this with you later. But only if you promise not to try to sacrifice us. She smiled. After seeing how well you two fight, you needn't worry about that. If you promise to help me with my assault, I will tell you the full story. We will come back tomorrow night. But if you don't mind, we'll meet up after you've already summoned your squad. She smiled at that. She tapped the ground with her foot. I'll meet you right here an hour after sundown tomorrow night. What's the point of having me as a manager if you two suicidal idiots don't listen to my advice? Mordecai raged after we arrived back at the belly-rubbed pub safe room. We'd had to dodge a single mob on our way to the inn. It was a spider thing, but its body was an eyeball the size of a beach ball. It had woven a web across the street, and we'd had to take the long way to the room.
This is gonna be
The
annoying.
recap episode was about to air when we arrived. We approached the room, and I sent a quick message to Mordecai that we were going in as a courtesy. If I'd known he was going to be such an ass, I wouldn't have warned him. Within minutes of us going out there, we got that quest. I asked you if it was important or if we should ignore it. Well, guess what? You didn't answer because you were shit-faced. Mordecai took a deep breath. Oh, I apologize. I have not had the pleasure of drinking in an over-city pub in a very long time, and I took advantage of the opportunity. I did not take into account the incubus's weakness, which is alcohol. But if I had been of sound mind, I would have told you that quests are great for experience and loot, but only if you were comfortably ahead of the difficulty curve for the level. Since we only have 8 days, and you are currently playing catch-up, I would have said to skip it and do what I originally told you to do. And we probably would have taken that advice had you actually given it. Furthermore, after I was cogent of my surroundings, I told you to stay away from the goddamned elite, but did you listen? No. You made a date with her for tomorrow night. A date, should you decide to attend, that will surely result in all of the blood seeping from your veins and into her minions.
I don't like that, lady.
Donut said, as she munched a freshly prepared tuna steak. Mongo devoured a plate of something that looked like raw hamburger meat on the floor next door. He looked up and squeaked agreement. She's an elite, Mordecai said. Never
trust an elite. So, what exactly are elites? How are they different than other NPCs? Is it just because they're more powerful? Okay. So, elites.
The
There are
fuck?
thousands of them spread throughout the urban levels of the dungeon. Unlike most mobs and dungeon NPCs, they can, and do, freely travel between the urban floors. In addition to the crawl, there is also a more scripted aspect to the dungeon. Think of it as a soap opera or a serial. All of these stories activated with the opening of the 3rd floor. Every season they have multiple storylines pop up at once, like in September when all the new shows come out on television. There are also a few running stories that have been spanning multiple seasons, but that's all on the 9th floor. That's too complicated to explain right now. Wait, so they're like actors? He shook his head. Do you remember what we discussed earlier about how Borant owns and alters the minds of some mobs and NPCs? Elites are never naturals. They are designed to Okay, so elites. There are thousands of them spread throughout the urban levels of the dungeon. Actually given it. Furthermore, after I was cogent of my surroundings, I told you to stay away from the goddamned elite, but did you listen? No. You made a date with her for tomorrow night. A date, should you decide to attend, that will surely result in all of the blood seeping from your veins and into her minions.
I don't like that, lady.
Donut said, as she munched a freshly prepared tuna steak. Mongo
Mm,
devoured a plate of something that looked like raw hamburger meat on the floor next door. He looked up and squeaked agreement. She's an elite, Mordecai said. Never trust an elite. So, what exactly are elites? How are they different than other NPCs? Is it just because they're more powerful? Okay. So, elites. There are thousands of them spread throughout the urban levels.
Interesting.
Unlike most mobs and dungeon NPCs.
Well, that's
they can
ironic.
And do freely travel between the urban floors. In addition to the crawl, there is also a more scripted aspect to the dungeon. Think of it as a soap opera or a serial. All of these stories activated with the opening of the 3rd floor. Every season they have multiple storylines pop up at once, like in September when all the new shows come out on television. There are also a few running stories that have been spanning multiple seasons, but that's all on the 9th floor. That's too complicated to explain right now. Wait, so they're like actors? He shook his head. Do you remember what we discussed earlier about how Borant owns and alters the minds of some mobs and NPCs? Elites are never naturals. They are designed, printed, and then imprinted with the memories needed for them to act out their drama. As far as they're concerned, this is their real world. But that's how it is with most of the other mobs. Mordecai shook his head again, this time more adamantly. No. Regular mobs are autonomous. Once they're set loose in the dungeon, what they do is up to chance. Here is the thing with elites, and this is extremely important, so pay careful attention. Your quest with this circus and this signet woman is a storyline, a drama created for the viewers by a team of writers. It will play itself out whether or not you get involved. It will have its own show and team of people working on that show who have been working on it for a very long time and who will be very protective of it. Some of these dramas and storylines become quite popular in their own right. While elites aren't directly controlled by the AI and the writers, they are constantly being nudged and manipulated. If the writers don't like where a storyline is going, they will hot patch new instructions right into the elites' minds. There are AI-controlled rules to keep the dungeon fair for the crawlers, but those rules are much looser when it comes to elites. If it comes down to saving the life of a single crawler or blowing an entire drama that's been building for weeks, what do you think is going to happen? I've seen it a dozen times. A hotshit crawler comes across an elite, and instead of trying to solve the quest, he decides to go all murder hobo and kill the NPC. Something always happens. Something bad. Most of these elites have very thick plot armor, and in those stories, you're the extra. The red shirt. The guest star. Not every quest will involve elites, but if it does, then I will always suggest that you stay the hell away. Especially when that storyline just launched, because there's a whole team of writers and producers out there who don't want their precious little series to get canceled after the first day. And if they can write in the death of a popular crawler, all the better. It will guarantee their show gets more viewers.
So, when we talk to that Signet woman, we're on another show.
Donut asked. Mordecai just looked at the cat. Out of all of what I just said, that's what you take away? Wait, I said. A notion came at me. Something Signet had said. But this level is only 8 days. What happens when the floor collapses? The important elites will go down to the 6th floor, and the story will continue. While you crawlers are dicking around on the 4th and 5th floors, these dramas will continue to play out. That is, until you guys get there to mess it all up. That's part of the fun for the viewers, seeing how crawlers crap all over the producer's hard work. It's like taking Jason from a Friday the 13th movie and tossing him into a late season episode of Jane the Virgin just to see what happens. But, like I said, producers and writers aren't going to allow you to just come and do it this early. They will fight back. But only if we're going against their planned storyline. If we're aiding the narrative, they might actually do the opposite. They might help us. You can also just sit here in this pub and play with yourselves for the next 7 days. It might be fun, but it's also a one-way ticket to getting left behind. Forget this quest and go to the city. The center television screen snapped on, and the opening music for the recap episode played.
Special edition. See what your favorite crawlers chose as their race.
The announcer cried. I sat back and thought about everything that had happened. Watched a shortened version of the bloody first part of the show. Some large group of crawlers fought against a demon-like city boss with crab pincers. The boss ripped through them in seconds, killing about 40 crawlers with horrifying alacrity. The demon cackled with glee as it killed them all. The first crawler they showed getting her upgrade was Hekla of Brynhild's daughters, the woman from Iceland who had gathered a large group of female crawlers around her. It showed her entering the safe room alone. Oh, where's the rest of her group? They didn't get together until later, Mordecai said. So they had different game guides. They'll come out scattered to the wind. Yikes. That sucks. I patted Donut on the head. I was about to say something about how it would suck if Donut and I got separated. But I thought better of saying that out loud. Hekla emerged from the guild, and the program showed a spinning 3D version of her new character. Her new race was Amazonian. She looked mostly the same, but she was a good foot taller than before and much wider. The pretty blonde woman had been in good shape before. Now she looked like a professional bodybuilder. They didn't show her stats, but I could tell it was clearly a strength build with a good amount of dexterity, too. A scrolling paragraph of text appeared, not too fast to read, that explained her new class. She'd been allowed to pick an Earth class, and she went with the obvious choice. Shield Maiden. I couldn't read what it said. I groused. You're being forced to watch on a flat display, Mordecai said. If you were using a standard view screen, you'd be able to grab that paragraph and pull it up. You'll be able to buy such a display for your private base later, but they're likely prohibitively expensive. The next few groups were crawlers I didn't recognize, but who had picked odd races or classes, including a man who turned himself into a massive slug and a woman who turned herself into a four-armed, blue-skinned replica of the Hindu goddess Kali. The same woman picked an odd class called Kabaddi Raider.
A few groups aren't done with their selection, but it appears just about 80% of the crawlers have opted to remain human.
That's way more than I thought it would be. I'm surprised.
Not me. You humans were always the cocky bunch.
You didn't change either.
Of course not, Carl. Why would I stop being a cat?
It's usually around that percentage, Mordecai said. Sometimes higher. Really? He nodded. Whenever there's a poll of Syndicate citizens, the vast majority of them always say they changed into something else if they were put in that situation. But the truth is, when people are really given the opportunity to be something else, and that change is real and permanent, most opt to stay the same. They get scared. Even if there's an obviously better choice, it's terrifying to take that leap. that something else is a major change, there's always a learning curve. Sometimes it's better to stay in familiar skin. Believe me, it can be a real mind bender to suddenly find yourself 2 feet taller or shorter. Or if you lose limbs, or worse, gain them.
We're on.
Donut cried as we appeared on the screen. I was shown first.
Look, Mongo. Uncle Carl is on the television.
She pointed up at the screen. Mongo looked and started bouncing up and down, waving his arms. They played a brief history of the primal race. They showed another human from many seasons ago who'd chosen the same race. They showed him flying through the air with white, wispy angel wings, wielding a massive sword made of lightning as he charged at a humanoid demon the size of a goddamn football stadium, standing knee-deep in a lake of fire. What the hell is that? I said, watching the brief scene unfold. It faded away before the actual battle could start. The paragraph that explained what a compensated anarchist was appeared and disappeared. That, my boy, is a divine guardian, one of the behemoths of the 12th floor. A country boss. He is guarding a fire gate, an entrance to the 13th floor. Holy fuck. Yeah. Is that the guy who made it to the 13th floor? No. But he was a famous crawler. He's from before my time. He died a minute later. The next time you're with your friend Odette, you should ask her about him.
Shush! Talk after they show me.
As they revealed Donut's selection process, I couldn't get the image of that Godzilla-sized monster out of my head. It was a literal kaiju. Sure, it was a country boss, second only to a level boss, but it was still only the 12th level. That was the floor Donut and I needed to get to if we wanted any sort of freedom. There were 6 levels after that. What sort of bosses would be down there? I thought of the rage elemental. They were regular mobs from the 13th floor. The thought of scaling up our power to that level in such a short amount of time seemed impossible. The show ended with Lucia Mara's transformation. Her 2 Rottweilers, as non-sapient pets, did not get the...
I just realized I'm still streaming, aren't I?
Lucia had chosen one of the oddest, most
Haven't any,
fucked up races I've
haven't any
seen.
pings, so I guess that means there's no bots.
Hell, kid. I
That's a
said,
good sign.
watching the show.
That also means no viewers.
Get gassed.
That's a sad sign.
Why? A larger bless, it was called. She'd grown from her young, street-kid appearance to a full-grown adult woman. As the 3D image spun, her face altered, from that of a great beauty to a skull-faced monstrosity. The announcer explained that she would spend half the day as a beautiful woman. No. He's from before my time. He died a minute later. The next time you're with your friend Odette, you should ask her about him.
Shush! Talk after they show me.
As they revealed Donut's selection process, I couldn't get the image of that Godzilla-sized monster out of my head. It was a literal kaiju. Sure, it was a country, second only to a level boss, but it was still only the 12th level. That was the floor Donut and I needed to get to if we wanted any sort of freedom. There were 6 levels after that. What sort of bosses would be down there? I thought of the rage elemental. They were regular mobs from the 13th floor. The thought of scaling up our power to that level in such a short amount of time seemed impossible. The show ended with Lucia Mara's transformation. Her 2 Rottweilers, as non-sapient pets, did not get the opportunity to change, so they remained dogs. Lucia had chosen one of the oddest, most fucked up races I'd seen so far. What the hell, kid? I said, watching the show, completely aghast at her choice. Why? A larger bless, it was called. She'd grown from her young, street-kid appearance to a full-grown adult. As the 3D image spun, her face altered, from that of a great beauty to a skull-faced monstrosity. The announcer explained that she would spend half the day as a beautiful woman, and the other half as Lady Skeletor. While she was in her woman form, her magic ability was doubled. Spells cost half as much, but her strength was cut in half. While she was sporting her dear to holy shit face, it was the opposite. Spells cost more, but she was twice as strong. She also now walked with a limp. No more running on walls for her. Her right leg, and just her right leg, had transformed from a human limb to that of a hairy goat, complete with a cloven hoof. As she emerged from the guild hall, Crawler lit. Even her two dogs looked freaked out by the transformation.
She looks like she smells really bad.
That race seems like a terrible idea. Maybe, said Mordecai. But she's likely the most powerful crawler in this game. There's probably a slew of hidden benefits in that racial choice that makes it worth it. And then there was her class choice. Again, I couldn't see what the details were. Just the name. It was a triple class. A cleric, magic user, warrior combo called a Black Inquisitor General. Wow. And I thought that kid was a scary mofo before. The show ended, and a moment later, the announcement came.
Welcome again, crawlers, to the 3rd floor. There were still a few stragglers working on their class and race choices, and that's okay. The vast majority of you are out and about and just starting to learn about the wonders of the Overcity. We welcome you to a dungeon crawler world tradition. You all have made some wondrous and unique choices. Of the just under 700,000 crawlers who've made a decision, we've seen almost 40,000 different class choices. Can you believe that? That is a record, and we are very proud to see such diversity. A couple announcements regarding this 3rd floor. While the bathroom penalties have been removed, we want to remind the crawlers that restrooms still populate this floor. In the villages, you may find restrooms in any pub and in some shops. In the ruins, the toilets are just as prevalent as they were on the higher floors. Please do not force us to backtrack. We are already seeing much interest in the sponsorship program, and while the program doesn't officially get underway until the 4th floor, potential sponsors now have the ability to put in early bids. Therefore, remember to be as entertaining as possible. Finally, many of you are discovering new abilities and spells and wish to try them out. We urge you to do so. But this is just a general warning that any attempts of violence against non-combatant NPCs should be avoided. While this practice is technically not against the rules, the Boorish Corporation wishes to keep the citizenry as safe as possible. As a result, we've adjusted the experience counter for citizens down to 0. In addition, city guards have been given a slight boost in stats. That's all for now. Get out there and kill, kill, kill.
What's with the warning about the NPCs? Who knows, Mordecai said. We spent some time talking about the day, some of the things Sigmund had said. She'd mentioned that Grimaldi had turned into something called a Vinev, which led to a long, yawn-inducing conversation about plants and parasites and mind control. Mordecai counted on his fingers, giving me and Donut a long list of ways to deal with each kind of plant-based monster. This, apparently, was the subject of great interest to Mordecai. Now, go rent a room and get some sleep, he eventually said as he handed back the pile of potions. He's been showing us how to combine certain potions to make them more potent and work more quickly. I want you two up early. Tomorrow is going to be a big day.
What are we doing?
Oh, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be a day for the history books. It'll be the first time you two do exactly what I tell you to do. Chapter 8. Time to level collapse. 6 days, 23 hours. Views, 998.3 trillion. Followers, 16.5 trillion. Favorites, 3 trillion. I awakened to find a long
Wait, what?
message from Brandon just hovering in my field of vision. I put it aside for the moment while I let myself wake up. As usual, Donna had insisted we share a room. But instead of sleeping on my neck, she'd slept upon her newly erected cat tree, which barely fit the room. It had taken me the better part of an hour to put it together using the visual instructions and provided Alan Rich. It seemed so surreal, so ridiculous to be completing such a mundane task in the middle of all this. But the tree was light, and we'd be able to store it and bring it out each night. While Donut slept on the top platform, Mongo curled up at the bottom. I also lit the cheap candle for her. It filled the small, rented room with the scent of home. I watched Donut for a bit, and I could tell what she was doing. She wasn't really asleep. She was just closing her eyes and pretending that she was back home in her favorite spot. After some time, I blew out the candle and went to sleep myself. When I woke up, Donut was back in her usual place on my neck. Mongo jumped onto my legs, sinking the whole bed in. We'd also purchased a room for Mordecai, though when I wandered out to get breakfast, he was passed out at a round table with a still full glass of something that smelled like mead. Gordo the bobcat was also passed out at the table, snoring so loud it sounded like a chainsaw.
I need my breakfast, and you need to brush me.
Donut cried as we entered the main room.
I need breakfast, and you need to brush me. Hold your horses, you blowhard.
Gordo said, sitting up. He wiped the drool off his face. He shook his head and mumbled something under his breath.
Ay, yes. I need to freshen up a bit. I'll get you fed, don't you worry. You can brush yourself, princess. Well, I never.
Donut said, looking appalled. He looked up at me expectantly.
Carl, do something.
Mordecai teach you the finger-breaking trick? I asked, sliding into a chair next to the still asleep incubus.
Finger breaking? No, he made me a potion.
Gordo said. The short gnome stood and wiped himself off.
I told him I didn't quite feel myself since you two arrived, and he offered to mix me a draft using a few things behind my bar. Something that will allow me to regain my dignity.
He glared at Donut.
It's not right, taking advantage of me kind's nature like that. This is an outrage.
Donut said as Gordo disappeared into the back.
Mordecai, I wish to speak with you. Wake up.
Where am I? Mordecai said, sitting up. He looked about wildly. He settled when his eyes met mine. Oh, he said. The incubus smelled like the floor of a biker bar. I got up to change seats, but Mordecai grabbed my arm, preventing me from moving. Do you always drink this much? Why is it we're just seeing this now?
You're my manager, Mordecai.
Donut said.
Why are you turning the help against me? Now who's going to brush my hair?
Mordecai, listen up, both of you. Don't say anything out loud. I had to make him a potion that would knock him out so I could go into his kitchens and find the newsletter. Carl, newsletter? Mordecai, yes. Bankas and shopkeepers don't have access to the feed, so they get a physical newsletter delivered after each recap episode. Once he passed out, I went into the back so I could read the brief. I also stole a few items for potions. I don't have an inventory like you do, so take this. He pulled several items from his pockets and handed them to me under the table. I pulled them into my inventory without looking. Almost all of them were loose herbs. Carl. Holy shit, Mordecai. Is that cheating? Mordecai. Managers only have one rule. You can't engage in direct battle with mobs. Everything else is fair game. Donut.
You are like a spy. I knew you wouldn't betray me.
Carl. So, did you learn anything? Mordecai. Yes. The brief is regional, and it warned of a potential major battle event happening in this area today or tonight. If they're taking the time to warn the Bobkas about it, then it's a big deal. It's likely related to your elite parade. You two need to eat your breakfast and hightail it to that town, and never come back this way. No dawdling. Carl. Okay. Don't forget to assign your stat points. Mordecai said. Gordo returned with what looked like a bowl of lumpy oatmeal. He plopped 2 bowls on the table. I did, last night, I said. Put all 3 points into strength. Donut's magical brush appeared on the table in front of me.
You're going to have to do it.
She said. I sighed and picked it up. I still needed to do my foot routine. While I brushed her, I pulled up the note from Brandon. Brandon.
Carl, you there, buddy? We were really happy to see you two on the recap tonight. I wanted to let you know we're still dealing with Switch. It's slow going. None of the residents can choose human lest they remain in their current condition, and there's a lot of pushback. The ones with cognitive issues have to pick some really weird races in order to remain viable. I'll tell you all about it later. I stayed human. Chris and Amani did not. Most of the residents are still level 1, but you would not believe the loot boxes they got for hitting the 3rd floor without killing anything or dealing any damage. They all are getting legendary pacifist boxes along with a ton of other ones. It's ridiculous how much magical gear we now have. Some of these bastards are going to be more powerful than Imani pretty soon. Anyway, Mistress Tiapa says we're likely pretty far from you now. I wanted to thank you again for your help. I hope we see each other again. I sent him back a quick reply, asking him to stay safe. I contemplated telling him about Agatha, but I decided against that. I didn't want anything to do with that, and I feared putting it in writing would be a mistake. I also asked if he knew what Donut's new talent, Scuttlipoli, was, or if he knew what Cessna Punta was. I also gave him a piece of advice, the same advice Odette had given us. They weren't done yet, and somebody had that manager ability. He needed to talk them into choosing it. Despite Mordecai's raging alcoholism, I could already tell that benefit was the best chance we had at survival. A half hour later, Donut, Mongo, and I headed back out into the Overcity ruins. The artificial sun had just risen, leaving long shadows throughout the wooden streets.
Boom shakalaka.
Lazy wisps of smoke rose from random places throughout the city. The world smelled.
Maybe I should be talking more, but who would I be talking to? Myself? Like a crazy person? Again? I'd love to talk to somebody else.
The air was
Be kind of nice. And again, I think the reporting spree I went on because of all the bot scammers and everything in between might have, put me on somebody's no-fly list?
Donut reached to my
God, I hope so.
I pulled up the first dungeon locator we came across to make sure I hadn't gotten myself turned around, and we turned toward the Skyfowl settlement. We had a good 30 kilometers to go.
Look, the blood is all gone.
Donut said, as we passed a place where we'd killed a lemur the day before. Mongo had made a real mess of the body, splattering blood everywhere. Remember what Mordecai said? Every floor has a janitor mob. The rats, then the brindle grubs. We haven't seen the ones for this floor yet. They might only come out at night.
Are we really going to do everything Mordecai says?
Today we are. He may have some issues, but he knows what he's doing. He was right, and I was wrong yesterday. We should never have kicked up that hornet's nest, especially now that we know how they work. We need to stay as far away from those assholes as
You have been stunned. You have been paralyzed. You have been rendered unconscious.
I groaned. Multiple, increasingly frantic messages from Mordecai appeared in my vision. I mentally waved them away. I sat up, looking around frantically. I was in a darkened room. I'd been placed on a ratty, old couch that stank of mildew. I still had all of my equipment. My health was full. Donut. Where's Donut? My chest pulled with fear. No. I don't want to be alone. Donut? I called. Where are you? No answer. Carl. Donut? Fuck, please answer me. There was no answer. I pulled up my mini-map, but I didn't see her at all. I couldn't see anything. But she was still there in the party menu, which meant she was alive. Only slightly relieved, I called for her again, this time louder. I heard something. A screech. It was distant, but it came from another room. The moment I heard it, an orange dot appeared on my map. Mongo. Mongo was still alive. Calm down. Take a deep breath. Think about this for a moment. What had happened? Try to remember. We've been walking and talking. We barely just hit the main road. I hadn't seen anything. Mongo hadn't warned us of the attack. I'd been stunned, then paralyzed, then knocked out. The AI seemed to think I was about to die. It had read a quote from Of Mice and Men. As a kid, I had to read that damn book 3 times in school. As a result, I moved it around. Later, as an adult, I kept a copy with me in my pocket. I read it over and over.
my favorite books. Not because I liked the story, but it's kind of a fucked up scene for the AI. Carl, Mordecai, I just woke up. Down. Take a deep breath. Think about this for a moment. What had happened? I tried to remember. We've been
Aw, that's cute. You'd think that was gonna work.
barely just hit the main road. I hadn't seen anything. Mongo hadn't warned us of the attack. I'd been stunned, then paralyzed, then knocked out. The AI seemed to think I was about to die. It had read a quote from Of Mice and Men. As a kid, I'd had to read that damn book 3 times in school, as a result of constantly moving around. Later, as an adult, I'd kept a copy with me in my bunk. I'd read it over and over. It was one of my favorite books, not because I liked the story, but because it felt so familiar to me. Like comfort food. It was kind of a fucked up scene for the AI to quote, but it almost felt like it was supposed to be soothing. Carl, Mordecai, I just woke up. I don't know what happened. I don't know where Donut is. I don't know where I am. Mordecai.
Oh, thank the gods. Are you tied up? In a cage? In a web?
Carl, I'm on the couch. I'm not tied up, and I still have all my stuff. It's dark in here, though. I can't see anything. Mordecai.
Okay. I can see Donut is alive. I can't see where she is. If you just awakened now, she'll probably wake soon. You'll see her on your map when she does, as long as she's not too far. Spend a few minutes looking around, gather all the info you can, and tell me what you see.
The level countdown had gone down significantly. I calculated in my head. I'd been unconscious for 15 hours. Holy shit. It was a kick in the teeth. Even if I somehow got out of this, whatever the hell this was, I'd lost 15 fucking hours. When every second counted, that was a serious setback. I checked my notifications to see if there were any clues. I'd received 3 achievements. One for getting stunned, a second for getting paralyzed, and a third.
New achievement! Lazarus! You have been hit with, and survived, an offensive spell that was higher than level 15. The fact you are not a quivering sting of meat on the dungeon floor right now is testament to your sheer luck. It's either that, or you're banging the producer. Reward? You've received a Platinum Lucky Bastard box.
It didn't tell me what the spell was, but the moment I read it, I was certain I knew who had cast it. Signet. Are you here?
Hurt my feelings.
She said, whispering in my ear. I felt a warm hand on my upper leg, between my boxers and knee pads. Fuck! I said, practically jumping out of my skin. Her firm, strong hand held me in place. She'd been next to me the whole time. Goosebumps crawled across my skin. She practically hit my ear. Her breath was hot on my neck. I tried not to shiver. She was level 60. If she wanted me dead, there would be nothing I could do about it.
You were leaving. You had promised me you would come back.
Where is Donut?
She is safe. Don't you worry. I even saved that little dinosaur of yours. Your friend is still asleep and will remain asleep.
I want to see her.
Of course, of course. We shall see her on the way out.
I'm not going anywhere without Donut.
You will do exactly as I say. I followed you and your pet this morning. I wanted to see if you would abide by your promise. You lied to me, Carl. I was tempted to just melt the both of you right then. But I can be forgiven. I have a forgiving nature. My mother was a naiad, and she taught me that grace should always be observed, even in the face of betrayal.
Your mother sounds very smart. But I will be grabbing my cat, and we will be leaving now. Her hand remained on my knee in the dark room. I felt her palm rustle unnaturally as
something moved by just under her skin. Like I said, you can't escape. My mother taught me more than just grace. She taught me magic. Airy magic. Which is the strongest. The spell is called Water Lily. Isn't this a beautiful name? She was a princess once. My mother, I mean. Before the Confederacy usurped the crown. I would be Zarina were I full-blooded. I told history once. He changed my name to Zarina Signet after that. Holy shit, this bitch was crazy. It puts you to sleep, of course, she said. And you don't wake up until I cancel the spell.
What the f... What the hell? Now, why do you never undress?
She dies too. A new wave of fear swept over me.
What the hell?
What do you want me to do? She smiled. Just fulfill your promise. That is all. I promised you would help you assault the circus. I can't do that without Donut. You're going to have to try. This is my deal. My grace. This is how you win back your life. Shit. The bottom floor of Sidney's building was an empty shell with broken walls on 3 of the 4 sides. Outside, the sun had made a full journey across the sky. It sank now behind the distant buildings. Donut lay asleep in the middle of the room, placed upon a rotting, cushioned chair. It was the only thing in the room other than a large cage containing Mongo, who hopped up and down and screeched at my approach. Donut! I cried, rushing up to the cat. I went to a knee and stroked her soft fur. I remembered brushing it earlier. It was hard to look at her like this. She's so small, so vulnerable. She had unconscious hovering over her body. I reached over and opened up Mongo's cage. The dinosaur jumped onto the chair and pushed his head questioningly against the cat, who did not wake up. He let out a worried screech. Signet stood nearby, her hands clasped in front of her. Her small, bare breasts would have been a distraction at any other time, even with her ghastly face. Her tattoos seemed to congregate on her body, facing whatever direction I was in, all of them staring at me intently. We can't leave Donut here, I said, looking about the room. We were practically outside. Any wandering mob would find her. I worried about the janitor mob, whatever it might be. She will remain, Signet said. No. Fuck you, I said. I reached to pick her up. A health bar appeared the moment I lifted her. It started quickly falling. Calm. I would return her immediately to her place. A water lily must not be removed, lest it die. I quickly put her limp body back in the chair. The bar stopped moving down. A moment later, and it began to ease its way up. Come, Carl. It is almost time for me to cast my son. We have much to prepare before the assault. Just a minute. Watch out, Mongo. I started pulling the last of the ripped out pieces from my inventory.
I had multiple pieces of wood and metal in my pack. I erected an ugly, quick and dirty shelter around the cat, like a pyramid. I worked as quickly as I could.
Carl,
Sigmund said.
now.
Jesus, worse than B, I said, as I put the last piece in place. The obstacle wouldn't protect a donut from a determined mob, but this was better than nothing. Mongo jumped to the top of the neck-high, haphazard pyramid. He looked down through the jagged hole in the top and then back at me. I put my hand against the side of the dinosaur's head. It was still small, but at level 6, it was now bigger than Donut. I don't know if you understand me, but you have to stay here. And you have to protect her. It's the most important thing you've ever had to do. I gotta go now, but I will be back. You understand? Mongo screeched. Looked down at Donut through the hole in the top of the pile of crap and screeched again. I turned and followed Signet out the door. I was giving Mordecai a running commentary of everything that was happening. I had a plan. A loose plan I'd formulated on the fly. But I couldn't do it on my own. I asked him what he thought. He told me I was batshit crazy. I took that as a good sign. Carl. Zev, are you there? Zev.
Hey, Carl. I'm watching. The whole universe is watching. We're all rooting for you.
Carl. That's what I'm hoping for. I need your help. Zev.
You know I can't interfere.
Carl. No. Not like that. I explained what I wanted her to do. She told me it was impossible. I told her to try anyway.
I'm sorry it came to this, Carl.
Signet was saying as we walked.
You surprised me yesterday when you survived. I won't make that mistake today.
Why are we doing this, Signet? Why do you attack the circus every day?
Of the entire crew, I was the only one who made it through the attack without being altered by the poisonous cloud. And the one who got the worst of it was Grimaldi.
Grimaldi? So the guy who owns the circus. Last night you said you loved him.
I do love him. He is the love of my life. He saved me when I was a child. He took me in when nobody else would. He protected me from the high elves, took me from the hunting grounds, gave me a life. But most importantly, he gave me a family. As I became an adult, I grew to love him as more than just a father. We were going to share our lives together.
So what happened?
You have to understand how horrible it was. Cataclysm. Skolopendra's poison cloud was a 9-tier attack. It attacked you in 9 different ways. The lucky ones simply died. The others were transformed, all in different ways.
This was the second time I heard that name. Skolopendra. It sounded like this was the monster at the bottom of the volcano. I filed that information away. She continued.
Grimaldi was more than just the owner. He was also the circus's ringleader. We were nearing the end of the show when the cataclysm came. He stood in the middle of the center ring. The others were all out there, taking their bow.
Signet took a deep breath.
He transformed into the vine. All the others in the tent, no matter how they transformed, were soon infected, mold-covered parasites. This put them under Grimaldi's control. The lemurs, the clowns, almost everyone. They do as he says, and if they die, spores return to the vine, and they are reborn the next day.
And that's why you attack the circus every day? Why did you survive and the others did not? He didn't answer my question.
Last night, I cast my spell, expecting you to perish. Tonight, I am putting my faith in you. You will have to be the one to defeat the sacrifice. I have captured Heather multiple times, but always for the purpose of killing the sacrifice. I have yet to use her blood to summon my team. I am trusting you tonight to kill Heather. While her blood won't be as powerful as yours, it will be some of the most potent blood I've used.
We rounded a corner, stopped. Lying asleep in the middle of the room was an unconscious something. She was under the same water lily spell as Donut. That's Heather? I asked, feeling sick.
Yes.
And you want me to kill her? So you can take her blood and summon your people? Cast her spell before she wakes up. I'll kill her now.
It doesn't work that way, Carl. I can't influence the battle, or the spell doesn't work.
That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard.
If it wasn't like that, I would have just killed you last night.
I swallowed. I examined Heather. She appeared to have once been a black bear. She wore a tattered pink clown hat and a pleated clown ruff around her neck, both of which appeared to be physically attached to her body. Like the lemurs, she had no skin on her face. Above her neck was nothing but exposed skull and a pair of round red eyes. The horrors didn't stop there. Her two front paws had been transformed to white worms, like her claws had been replaced with mops. These were different than the worms that made up the lion's mane. Even in sleep, they moved and undulated. I felt my glory rise at the sight. But most absurd of all was the bear's two back legs, which had a pair of roller skates attached to them.
Well, that's some irony.
Also wore a pink tutu. Signet took a step back.
Okay, Carl. She's going to wake up, and I will cast my summon spell. Then, you go kill her.
Admin note. Boss battles that arise concurrently with secondary productions or as parts of a quest may present themselves differently. You will still receive awards commensurate with the boss's proper rank. If you survive, of course.
Oh, fuck. Chapter 9. The usual music and bombastic over-the-loudspeaker announcement never came. The system was treating this just like a regular mob. But this clearly wasn't just any old monster.
Heather the Bear! Level 19 neighborhood boss. Performing since she was a cub, Heather the roller skating bear was one of the longest running attractions at Grimaldi's traveling circus. Her retirement had been only weeks away when the cataclysm hit. Now, the tired old bear has been transformed into a monstrosity, barely recognizable from her former self. She lives out her days as a hunter for the circus, seeking out juicy mobs and unsuspecting crawlers. She finds and incapacitates her prey using her overwhelming speed and strength. Then she drags her quarry back to the circus so the clowns may feed. Somewhere in there, deep down, there is a spark of the old Heather. The beloved bear has moments of lucidity as she runs down her terrified prey. In those brief moments, she thinks, good. I've always hated all you assholes anyway.
Unlike most boss battles, it didn't appear that I was locked into the area. But I couldn't run, could I? I looked wildly about. Behind me was a large intersection. A two-story building sat at each corner. It was already too dark for me to see inside. Carl. Mordecai. Boss battle. Level 19 black bear with worms for claws and roller skates for feet. Tips? Mordecai. Roller skates? Like those little shoes with wheels on them? Serious? Yes, I'm fucking serious. Mordecai. Male or female? Carl. Female. Mordecai. Shit. Okay. What about your protective shell? Has that reset yet? Carl. Yes. It did about 15 minutes ago. Mordecai. Black bears are the smallest of the bears, but they are faster and stronger than they look. Female bears are much smarter than the male ones. I don't know what the worm claws mean. Don't let her hug you. Use your shell. Heather roared and stood to her full height, balancing on her two legs as she spread her two upper arms. Fuck me, I said, scrambling back. I'd seen plenty of black bears in my life, and they usually weren't that big. Most no larger than big dogs. Heather was an exception. She was huge. On her roller skates, she stood about 8 feet tall. The pink clown hat sat cockeyed on her skull head. I could see where the cone of the hat was fused directly to the bone, like she was some sort of fucked up paracord. The worm claws came to life, dozens of little appendages wriggling and undulating, and growing longer and longer. The
bone-white worms appeared to glow in the fading light as they spread to the ground, like pasta being made directly from the bear's hands. As the swirling worms fell, I caught glints of actual bear claws at the ends of the paws. Holy shit, I thought. That's really fucking gross. Where the hell was Signet? I looked about for the elite. My eyes caught movement, and I spied her through a hole in a building across the intersection. She was on the second floor, and her arms were raised like they'd been yesterday. Her strange tattoos swirled about her body the same as before. I sensed the movement before I saw it. I'd only looked over my shoulder for a second, but the bear had halved the distance between us. She sailed across the wooden slats on her roller skates, gliding at me. The well-oiled skates made a whisk, whisk, whisk noise across the ground. She whipped her arm back as I twisted, pulling a pair of smoke bombs from my inventory and tossing them at my feet. I pulled two more as I started to run. I'd learned my lesson the other day not to use just one of these things. Too slow. Heather swiped from 15 feet away. The worms swept at me like a whip before I'd even realized what the hell was happening. Dozens of worms rushed at me, slapping into me, and wrapping around me 3 quick times like a damn tetherball. The wet, cold ends of the worms hit the exposed skin of my upper legs, and I felt them start to burrow into my body. I need pants. I really fucking need pants. It felt like knives going into my skin. Yes, this is new flesh. Primal flesh. Delicious flesh.
Strong he is. Do we taste this? He will feed our clowns well.
The clowns hunger, Primal. They are ravenous, and now they know of your flavor. I smashed down on protective shell as the smoke started to billow from the smoke bombs. The worms severed off the bear, cutting them in half and killing them. The ends half burrowed into my skin, dropped away. The bear, which had been almost on top of me, rocketed back, hitting the ground and rolling away. I'd blown it a good 50 feet back. What the hell was that? The worm things had entered my skin and immediately started talking in my mind. The words had come all at once, piling on top of one another. I couldn't tell if it was one voice or 1,000 voices, male or female. It had felt as if someone had taken their dirty fingers, sunk them directly into the meat of my brain, and dragged. Fuck no. Fuck that. I would die before I let that happen again. I jumped into action. I rushed at the fallen bear, leaving the protection of the shield behind. I pulled nuts and bolts and barbells from my inventory as I ran, scattering them on the ground. I was too close for a boom jar or a stick of dynamite. Instead, I pulled a regular jug of moonshine and tossed it at the bear as hard as I could. The jug shattered against the bear's head. I'd thrown it significantly harder than I'd expected or anticipated. Wow. Even with my enhanced strength, I hadn't been expecting the sheer violence of the toss. I skidded to a stop. A health bar finally appeared as Heather screamed in rage. Moonshine splashed over the bear, who remained on her back, struggling. The pungent stench filled the intersection. The puddle highlighted itself in my vision, and the word flammable liquid appeared floating over it. That's new, I thought, as I pulled a torch, lit it, and tossed it at the bear. I didn't wait to see what happened next. I turned and ran toward the still billowing smoke plume. Like last time, it was an irritatingly narrow cone of smoke despite the multiple bombs. It had caught in the wind, swelling away from the bear. But the smoke cone was just wide enough to hide within. Whoosh! I felt the heat of the moonshine igniting. I ran into the smoke and turned in time to see the bear pulling herself to her feet, her entire body aflame. The red and blue flames rose into the night air. The billowing fire partially obscured Heather's health bar. It moved down, but at a crawl. It wasn't even in the red yet. The on-fire bear shrieked and started roller skating at me. Whisk, whisk, whisk. Now, if you've never had a flaming skull-faced bear on roller skates barreling at you full speed, you don't know what you're missing. She stumbled and fell, tripping over a dumbbell. When she rose again, half of her skin and fur remained on the ground, revealing an exposed ribcage filled completely with worms, like a knot of ramen noodles. The worms burst forth from the flames, reaching every which way. For
fuck's sake. I'd been saving it for a dire situation, and I pulled it out now. The scratcher lottery ticket I'd received from the lucky bastard box. Fireball or custard. I had a 50-50 chance. It would either fire a level 15 fireball, which would probably kill it immediately, or it would splatter the thing with strawberry custard, which would heal it. I awkwardly held the paper ticket in my left hand as I scratched off one of the 5 spots, revealing a little spinning circle. The tiny icon flashed back and forth from a red fireball to a pink glob. The skating boss was nothing but a skeleton now. Only the hat and the roller skates remained on fire. Even the round bulbous eyes were gone. A mass of worms covered the skeleton, as if it was wrapped in yarn. The health bar was only half gone.
What the fuck?
Hiding in the smoke seemed to do nothing. The arm whipped back once again. The spinning icon on the ticket stopped. Custard. Yummy. The voice said it out loud, deep and bass-heavy, like it was the announcer dude from that goddamned Candy Crush game. I had a sudden, inexplicable memory of V playing that game on her phone with the volume turned all the way up while I was trying to watch TV. Motherfuck! I cried, jumping back as the beach ball-sized custard ball burst forth and splattered against the bear, who staggered and, once again, fell on its back. The skeletal bear roared in pain as custard boiled against her skin. Her skin and fur reformed over her body, spreading across her frame in odd, jerky clumps, like a stop-motion film. The bear struggled upward again. The damn thing was like the Terminator. Her health bar started to ease back up. But something had changed. The roller skates fell off the bear's feet as she struggled. So did the hat. Both dissipated into dust. The skin on the bear's face formed. She did not stand as she had before, but remained on all fours like a normal bear. Her tattered black fur held a silver sheen, especially evident around her muzzle. By healing it, I'd killed the worm. The bear let out a howl, mournful and afraid. She sat down and lowered herself painfully to the ground. The last of the boiling custard sizzled away. The bear looked at me, all of the fight out of her. This,
Fuck, that's dark.
the real Heather, free of the parasites that had been controlling her. She looked at me with her newly formed eyes. End it, those bitter eyes said. I should never have lived this long. She made a quick, pained whimper, and her eyes closed. I approached the bear. I kept a wary eye on her claws, looking for any sign of a trick. The bear sighed heavily as I approached. Her health bar, which had moved to the top, was now falling again on its own. Without the worms and mold, or whatever the hell magic was keeping this thing alive, her body was breaking down fast. This elderly bear, Heather, was not who I'd just fought. Not really. She was just the shell. I was tempted to just let her die on her own. But only. I formed a fist, and I smashed her head in with 2 quick punches. Then I stood, and I finished her off by pressing my foot against her skull and crushing. Her skull caved in easily. Winner appeared in my interface. That was the only indication I'd just finished a boss battle. A few achievements came and went into the folder. I'd gone up to level 15. I was pushing 16 already. Donut was going to be pissed. The bear's body shuddered. A line of red rose from the corpse, even through the flames. The blood flew through the air, angling upward towards Signet's now glowing body. Mordecai, congrats. You just won your first solo boss battle. A black, crackling shell of smoke surrounded the building where Signet cast her spell. Mordecai said he knew exactly what spell this was, and it'd likely take a good 10 minutes for it to finish. In the meantime, I figured I'd better stay the hell away and just let it happen. Carl, not gonna lie, I'm surprised. I thought for sure she wanted me to die and that she'd cast that sacrifice spell on me again. Mordecai, she probably did. Like I said, the system lets them fudge with reality when you're dealing with elites, which is why we stay away from them. Have you heard back from Zev yet? Carl, no. Donut is still okay? Mordecai, yes. I get a warning when health is down to 20%, but that's all I have. The status hasn't changed. Carl, did you learn anything for me? Mordecai. I visited my old friend Eklund. He's the only game guide in this town I know. He's too smart for his own good, unfortunately. I couldn't get him to look up the cure for the water lily curse, but I am headed to the town alchemist now to see if he has a clue. Eklund did, however, tell me the name of the program. And Mordecai, I think your hunch is correct. It's called Vengeance of the Daughter. Oh, thank God. Okay. Thanks, Mordecai. Keep looking. I looted the remains of the dead, bloodless bear. Like with any other neighborhood boss, I received a map upgrade. I grabbed it, and the neighborhood came alive with dots. At this distance, I couldn't see Mongo and Donut, but I could see the entirety of the circus a few streets over. Hundreds of red dots surrounded the edges of the circus like before, waiting. In addition, dozens of other red dots spread around the map, some of them moving, some sitting still. These were the night denizens of the ruins, and I needed to stay away from them all. A group of white dots centered around Signet. As I watched, another appeared. Then another. I felt a stab of concern. While it was a lot, 30 of them, it wasn't nearly enough to take on the sheer numbers. The smoke cleared, and just as it faded, Signet appeared, followed by her summoned minions. Wow, I said, taking in the sight. I took a step back, almost tripping over the splattered remains of the dead bear. I didn't know whether to be in awe, to laugh, or to cry. I'm so fucked. The smallest of the monsters, the floating head thing, was about 10 feet tall. The largest, a twisting, undulating sea serpent, was as tall as a 3-story building. The three-headed ogre was the second largest of the monster collection, wielding an enormous...
Alright, I'm gonna take a small break, go use the bathroom, probably get food. And who cares, nobody's here.
The ogre crossed his arms, and his saber caught the wind, flapping. The others crowded into the intersection and flowed into the streets around us. A hammerhead shark floated in the air above me. Can these things actually fight? I asked, as Signet came to stand before me. The tattoos were all gone from her skin. Her white flesh glowed, her nakedness starker now that her only adornment was the thong. I detected a very slight blue shimmer